and you come out of your little like echo chamber to talk to someone, like the thing comes up, and then you're doing propaganda, and they're like, yo, oh, we all know it's a genocide. You're just in this little space that calls it a genocide, but doesn't actually act in a manner that would show that they believe that, or acts in a manner that actively.
Yeah, I know. I hate the people who call it a genocide, but then they don't do things like actively vote for Kamala Harris, who would have been better for Gaza, and instead sit here and say that they would do the exact same thing.
Democrats, if they were in charge right now, would be doing 100% the exact same thing, 1-to-1. Make no mistake. Anyone who tries to tell you that Kamala Harris would be different is a delusional moron.
That's what bothers me, I think, the most about these performative scum fucking pieces of dog shit. You know, I'm with you guys. I agree with you guys. All right, guys, it's time. It's time for the newest Ethan Klein bad video. Haven't checked one of these out in a while. I'm kind of curious. Unfortunately, I couldn't do the. I just couldn't. It's crazy. But here's the good thing. Pretty much all these videos are just about how terrible Ethan Klein is, and we love it, and we think that that's probably the best way to go after Israel, is to just complain about Ethan Klein. Personally, I don't think there's anything productive talking about how Trump is, you know, enabling Netanyahu, or, you know, talking about building luxury hotels. No, we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about that. We just talk about Ethan Klein, the guy who says Netanyahu's a war criminal, but thinks that Israel has the right to exist. That is the opinion. That's the opinion that we have to go after. What's funny is that's like a left-leaning opinion, whether you want to believe it or not. The more right-leaning opinion is I don't care about Muslims. I do, of course. And the even farther right-leaning opinion is I don't care about Jews either, right? And then if you keep going farther right, you go back to the left where it's I hate Jews, right? I don't. I personally do not. I love Jewish people. August, edit that out, actually. Okay, because it's not. I'm gonna get in trouble for that one. Okay, stop. But yeah, cool beans, man. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's do this dirty, baby. Let's do it dirty. Let's go.
Hey everybody, this is an upload of a stream segment I did with Hassan Piker last week. We talked about a bunch of stuff. It was like 5 hours, but this video will be covering slop tubers, enzyme.
Yeah, but we don't have to watch that, which I wasn't going to anyway, but we can watch this instead, baby. Oh, fuck.
Zionist propaganda and Palestinian tokens. I'll be adding some context to the topics we brought up, but didn't get to dive deep into. For a really good video going over the...
You guys were talking for 5 hours. Why didn't you dive deep into them? I don't understand.
Main creators we discuss here.
Let's see. Nux Taku... Asmongold, Mudahar, and Ethan. Personally, I don't think Nextaku gets enough hate. I don't understand why. It doesn't really make any sense.
The Overzealots video on slop tubers. That one's a lot more thorough. I'll link it below, but you should also watch this one. Okay.
So you've tackled a bunch of like the slop tubers and the ways in which they have defended Israel's genocide, but there's varying degrees of Hasbara defense of Israel out there. And I think what a lot...
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with defending Israel. I think there's something wrong with defending Netanyahu. You know, I think Israeli people are chill.
Of the slop tubers have decided to do is, instead of like tackling the issue head on and really talking about the politics of it or the policies or the ideology behind Israel's actions or Zionism or any number of different things that they could cover, they've decided to cover this from the aspect of drama by basically positioning themselves against people like myself, yourself, and...
Well, I mean, you and Ethan used to be friends, man. And then, like, the relationship ended because you guys agreed mostly with Israel and Palestine, but there were like minor disagreements in your audience. Your audience fucking consumed him and called him a baby killer, and you didn't like moderate that. You didn't tell people to stop. You didn't, time people out from your Discord or your Reddit or from your live stream or anything. You just let them say what they wanted to say without being like, "Hey guys, like this is not what he believes. Like relax. This is my friend." So, and then you mix that in with the fact that Ethan is extraordinarily petty. That's really what it boils down to. Like you got into bed with somebody who's very petty, and that's why people like him. And now you want to complain that he's being petty and he's like, fuck Hassan. Also, though, you do hate Jews and want Jews to not be here anymore. Listen, I'll never get over when he was covering that shooting of like the 2 Israeli people that were shot to death. And he kept saying, I know this definitely isn't a false flag, guys, but this looks exactly like a false flag. You're dog whistling that like Israel conducted this so that they can try to run a PR stunt. Like, you're disgusting. Like, there's nothing outside of that. We're at a point now where it's very clear that you just don't like Jewish people. So you're never gonna. For me, that was like the defining moment outside of everything else.
Many other content creators who were unafraid to openly state their opinion about Israel, even immediately after October 7. They basically rode the wave of enmity for as long as they could. Having said that, however, they've been noticeably absent from the conversation, if you notice, like in the past couple of months, I would say.
As the tide is...
Well, not everybody's like you. Not everybody wants to content farm Israel-Palestine while wanting children to be genocided like you do. I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? Like, that's our big problem here, is that, like, Hassan is sitting here and he's playing this pretend game where Kamala Harris would have been just as bad as Trump, even though Trump is literally talking about, like, demolishing the place and then adding, like, hotels or some stupid shit. Putting up, I don't know if you guys remember the AI fucking videos he was putting up of how they can make it better. Do we not remember that? Do you guys not remember this? This is what Hassan's saying that Kamala Harris would have done as well if she was elected. It's an AI. It's an
bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. This is what
Hassan said that Kamala Harris would have been doing as well. Trump Gaza, number one.
Trump Gaza, number one. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, number one.
We have an opportunity,
guys. What are we doing?
To do something that could be phenomenal.
Phenomenal. This is what Kamala. So this is the problem: is Hassan knows that this is not what Kamala would have done, and he says that they would have done this because Hassan, I can only assume, wants children in Gaza to die, so that he can continue to talk about it. He's also friends with a guy that doxes people for fun, and has also gone on the record and said that he thinks everybody should vote Trump just to de-escalate Western civilization. Which, of course, whether you like it or not, is what's giving gay, trans people, and women rights. So, you know, we're not perfect, but we're certainly better than a lot of other countries. So, yeah, man, it's hard sell.
Turning on public opinion. Yeah.
And the tide shift has already taken place, and now I think even for their fan bases, this is like a non-starter. So they have been forced to change tactics, I guess, and like hyper-focus on drama on other things. Yeah.
I don't understand. Gay guys, these drama creators, you know, like one time they talked about Israel-Palestine, and now they don't only talk about it. Like, isn't that weird? Not really. Isn't that kind of what people do? They talk about different topics. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like the whatever framework of content that's been used to see, like, okay, this guy online said something that's like kind of left politics. I'm right wing. So
you're literally showing a picture of him with a gun. This is Hassan with a gun. It's a fake gun, but this is Hassan looking for attention with a fake gun.
I'm right.
This is literally Hassan waving a fake gun around to try to get political slop YouTubers to talk about him so he stays in the public conversation. I don't really understand.
I'm right wing, so I'm going to clip that thing out of context, make a whole video about it, make a bunch of money off of it. The video.
None of these people are right wing either. Asmongold is a fucking is like a centrist cuck. Actually, you could probably call him right wing. I don't think Mudahar is. Ethan's not. Who else did they reference in there? I don't really remember. But I think maybe you could probably argue Asmongold. He's definitely a fucking like a centrist, like fence-sitting cuck. I'll say that.
Videos do well. Everybody makes the same video, so that way it boosts it in the algorithm.
Same
They're
video.
all friends. They low-key collaborate, or they low-key watch each other's videos.
They low-key collaborate, which I don't know how you low-key collaborate, but low-key watch each other's videos.
Video where they say, "Oh, that guy's doing terrorism." That's the framework of how the content ecosystem works. And then a genocide starts happening, or a genocide escalates to the point of a very visible and obvious and well-documented genocide. This is a totally unprecedented thing, but what happens is they apply that same framework to an actual genocide, and all of your criticism of the genocide is towards the people that are opposing it and fighting against it. And at that point, you're helping the genocide. Like,
well, it's weird because I don't think they oppose everybody. It just seems to be the ones online that like it when genocide happens, and then virtue signal that they don't like it.
You're backing it. That was the big thing that got mad at me and tried to sue me for, is like, you can either...
Well, you were lying actively about things. And when you say try, did they drop the lawsuit or what? Like, again, my absolutely favorite thing was when Noah goes, like, Noah shows on the street content, And then he goes, hey guys, I know that on the street content's not a good representation of different communities, but with the Israelis, it's just different. That's my favorite part about it.
Fight against the genocide or back a genocide. There's no middle ground here. And if
hey guys, as long as I'm saying Palestine bad, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I could do whatever the fuck I want. Excuse me. As long as I say Israel bad, I could do whatever I want. Okay? I could do whatever I want as long as I'm willing to say that Israel bad. I'm fucking golden, baby. I can say whatever the fuck I want. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter how crazy I am. By the way, we all know that the best advocation for Palestine is to raise a bunch of money for white people in America to fight lawsuits where they maliciously react to other people's content. That's the best usage of your money. Also, to constantly talk about Ethan Klein, number one thing preventing Gaza from being free. By the way, let's continue to talk about that. That's where the public conversation really needs to, centralize around. It's really pretty much all it is. Once we figure out how to get Ethan Klein off of YouTube, fucking Gaza will be free. We will literally be able to free Gaza. It'll be fucking incredible. I cannot wait for the moment when we can finally get rid of Ethan Klein. So Gaza is fucking terminated, baby. We're done. That's all we got to do. Israel's terminated. That's what, because that's what we're apparently waiting for. Apparently that's what will happen, I guess, as we obsess about fucking Israel.
The only time you spend talking about it is attacking the people that criticize it and attacking the people that have, been vocal anti-Zionists or attacking the groups in the world that are resisting militarily as terrorists or whatever. Then you're helping. Then you're just back.
They're resisting militarily as terrorists or whatever.
It's one or the other, right? And
hey guys, if you don't like terrorism, you're bad, I guess. I don't know.
Shows that one because they don't like a YouTuber, right?
I think it's not necessarily just that a bunch of drama YouTubers defended Israel because they wanted to attack one guy and thought this was a great way to farm clicks and do drama. It's the fact that there are plenty of people in those audiences that didn't go, this seems weird. This feels like you're just attacking this guy because you hate this guy. You're using this genocide as like...
Well, I don't think it's that is a reason, but I think that the hatred for Hasan Parker is valid.
A point of drama.
A lot of them, they don't have the context when you say a clip of, it doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th, that doesn't change the dynamic that Palestinians shouldn't be subject to genocide. When they take the first part and then they make a whole 20-minute video about how you love rape.
It doesn't even matter.
So we're obviously not going to talk about the part where Hassan constantly downplays the amount of rapes that happened over and over again, despite the fact that there was a systematic raping of of Israeli people on October 7th. Yeah, let's downplay that. It's so interesting because there's the logical conversation and then there's the emotional conversation, which are both always necessary to be present in every conversation that we have, obviously, especially as they get more loaded. You sitting here and saying, listen, rape's happening is horrific and it's an unfortunate part of war and it's disgusting, but that shouldn't justify, the oppression of people in Gaza. Nobody would have reacted negatively to it. But Hassan, the apparently amazing political speaker, managed to say something that was insanely provocative and absolutely communicated the justification of raping Israeli women. And that's the problem. Is you can't be the big bad political commentator who's apparently like super aware of what dog whistles are and then get upset when people go, hey, this looks like a dog whistle. Why wouldn't you act more sensitively? And then instead of saying like, yeah, you know what? I should have, doubling down and just pretending that you're in the right. It doesn't make any sense. None of that makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You can't be the guy. You can't be the smart political guy and then dog whistle like a fucking lunatic and then be like, guys, what are you talking about? Like you have to speak. If you're going to be part of like somebody that speaks carefully, if that's what you're going to try to do, then you have to continue to speak carefully. So
none of this justifies that Palestinians have a right to dignity, a right to emancipation, a right
but this is like, what is this, like a year later after he said that? And it's just a reframing of the narrative for his audience. It's just constantly like you say something, instead of taking accountability, you just constantly say something again differently, hoping that people will think that that's what you said originally, and then try to paint everyone else as just fucking crazy for not agreeing with you.
To live fucking free lives, free from this occupation. Ooh. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much.
Part of running defense for Hamas is downplaying the violence, specifically the sexual violence, which he's done a lot of.
Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So
how come not a single time has he said like, yeah, I wish I didn't communicate like that, because it did communicate an insensitivity to people who were assaulted? Why not just say that and reinforce it? Why not be like, I understand that's why you guys think I was trying to say, but I didn't mean to communicate that, so I'm sorry for anything sensitivity. Why is it something Hassan can't do? Is he just too ego-driven, meaning that he's not somebody who should be having this conversation? Or is he somebody, or does he just not care? Like, which one is it? I don't understand. Because if he doesn't care, then everybody's speculation was correct, right?
That's the other part of this problem that many people that can't contend with. Like, the Palestinian resistance is not perfect. They're not like so good. They have magical bullets.
Whoa.
Even though all you were saying,
I love that. I love how the Palestinian resistance isn't perfect, so we should be charitable to rapes on October 7th. But, by the way, it's Hamas resistance. But Kamala Harris, who would have been better than Trump, is the exact same, because she also would have supported Israel in general. It's like, wow, interesting how we have nuance when we want it, and then we lose it when we don't.
Saying was Palestine should be free and not genocided. Of course, people are gonna, come to a less informed conclusion, especially when they are slop tuber audiences, where they don't have the context. And I think like a lot of times.
Hey guys, you're just a slop tuber audience. My name is Hassan Parker. My audience, not slop tubers. By the way, let me wave a fake gun around to get some attention from very clearly normal and balanced people who just who're just here for the politics. They're just here for the politics, not slop. I'm just waving around a gun for fun.
Taking the opportunity.
That makes perfect sense. I agree with you guys. People are so stupid. Like, just the way that they're just so dumb. Who are you trying to convince, Hassan, as a fucking regular audience?
Need to provide more context is the most helpful thing to do with those people, but...
Oh, yeah, the Atlantic posted Hamas wants Gaza to starve. This is by Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib. You might be familiar with who this person is, maybe because you saw me cover him before. He's attacked me as well. He is the only supposedly pro-Palestinian voice who is Palestinian himself. Ethan Klein had him on his broadcast. They literally fundraised for the Atlantic Council, which Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib is a part of. Atlantic Council is a pro-NATO.
It's also bald. Big problem there.
A right-wing think tank.
Funded by the U.S. Defense Department, primarily?
Yes.
I work at the
Funded by the U.S. Defense
Pentagon and weapons companies. Oh, okay.
Department, primarily?
Yes.
So what exactly were they trying to raise money for? It says it's for Palestine, even in this description of, Bad Empanada. Last week, the H3 podcast solicited donations for Palestine that actually went to pro-Israel propaganda. Why do we think that?
Al-Khatib is a part of. Atlantic Council is a pro-NATO right-wing think tank.
I don't think that that's true. What's wrong with NATO? Wait, what is wrong with NATO? What's wrong with NATO? I don't get it. It's a political... Yeah, okay, I wasn't wrong about it. It's NATO is a political and military alliance of 32 countries from Europe and North America. Our primary purpose is to safeguard the freedom and security of members through both political... What the fuck? How is NATO right-wing? How is... NATO is now right-wing. I don't understand. I think I actually do think that we are reaching a critical mass where like Hassan is getting to the point where he's starting to intentionally trying to like slip everything. NATO is now a right-wing propagandist piece because it spreads Western values of non-marital rape and acceptance of LGBTQ people and the equality of women and higher ages of consent. That is now right-wing because West bad. That's incredible. I'm not saying we are perfect, but we're hitting critical mass here, right? Like, we're getting to like a really interesting point where nothing that you say can be respected after saying something so fucking stupid.
Which Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib is a part of. Atlantic Council is a pro-NATO right-wing think tank.
Pro-NATO right-wing think tank. If they're pro-NATO, they're not right-wing, I would say, but okay.
Funded by the U.S. Defense Department.
Okay, they get money from... So they get subsidies from them. Okay.
Yes. Primarily?
Yes.
I work at the Atlantic Council, where I am a resident senior fellow, but also I run Realign for Palestine through the Atlantic Council, and we have like our own standalone website, realignforpalestine.org. There is a donate button, so like certainly folks can donate there.
We're gonna do a deeper dive into this because
Okay, so I'm just on their website. Tens of thousands dead, zero to show for it. It's time to realign Palestine now. So what's the Israeli propaganda there? What are we getting here that's wrong? Violence is immoral, unethical, ineffective. Two states can't wait. This is a two-state solution. I don't understand what's wrong. What we want to stand for. Amplify pragmatic and rational voices that courageously hold multiple truths, advocating for Palestine's statehood and self-determination. So they're advocating for Palestine to be its own state and asserting that two-nation solution is the only credible, humane path. Sure, I agree with this. What makes this so wrong? I don't understand. How is this Israeli propaganda? Israel doesn't want to recognize, or the Israeli government doesn't want to recognize two-state solution. I don't understand.
Because now,
I think the guy also directed people to donate to Palestinian Food Aid Organization right at the cut. Does he?
now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, people are recognizing that Israel is deliberately starving the Palestinian population.
That is AI, but I would not doubt that they are.
It's one of those things that's like...
this is like literally an AI picture they're showing. But okay.
Undeniable war crime of epic...
Why show it? Am I stupid? That was totally AI, right? I'm sorry. Is this a real picture or is this AI? Maybe I'm stupid, but this looks like AI. I feel like there's probably better examples of this.
Crime of epic proportions, and it's brought out harrowing images that even mainstream media has had to cover. More and more people are recognizing this devastating reality. So of course, as time goes on, those who are tasked with defending Israel in its weakest moments for PR are getting more ridiculous. He is different than the average like Israeli ultranationalist, right? He's not. He is a collaborator, okay? He's a collaborator with the Israeli state that works with an American think tank that is, of course, understandably pro-Israel. America is pro-Israel. It is an American State Department cutout. And as time goes on...
It's interesting how anytime you're a little bit pro-Israel, you are a terrible person. It's okay to think that Israeli people are people like... Hot take, I guess. I don't know. Okay.
These guys are going to become increasingly belligerent, but of course, The Atlantic wrote this piece. Hamas wants Gaza to starve.
I want to take a pause here to cut in and go over this article briefly because on stream we ended up forgetting to read through it. Hassan and I...
You just forgot in the 5 hours you were together?
Both have ADHD. Do you have ADHD?
Gotcha, you have ADHD.
By chance?
Yes, I do. Why?
I do too. This is mainly to...
Gotcha. You guys have ADHD, so you couldn't have gone. So I have ADHD too, and I had significant troubles with it when I was growing up. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you guys wouldn't read this unless you just didn't want to read this. Why not read it? What?
Respond to the...
This is fucking incredibly stupid. I think I'm starting to understand what's happening here. This video is a response to the criticism that Noah and Hassan are getting for not actually going in depth somehow about Gaza in a 5-hour live stream where they're really just venting about slop tubers, I guess.
The people that seem to think that Al-Khatib is exposing some secret truth that justifies placing the blame for Israel's genocidal starvation campaign on Hamas.
Okay, cool. Let's read it ourselves, I guess. Oh, wait, we could just put this on. All right, I thought I could just play it. I have to subscribe. Okay. This week... the world seems to be finally paying attention to the magnitude of suffering in Gaza. The futile... this is... How old is this, by the way? This is from July, so this is relevant, or recent, rather. It's like 2 weeks old. The futile politics pursued by the Israeli government, provided by the far-right cabinet ministers, some dude... and some other dude in Israel, I'm assuming, have reduced the supply of humanitarian aid, food, and supplies in Gaza. Israel has unnecessarily re-engineered the distribution of aid, failing to achieve its goal of separating the civilian population from Hamas while further constricting its supply. And for these decisions, it attracted justified condemnation of international community. Despite the surge of hundreds of trucks into Gaza over the past 4 days, very few supplies have made it into the warehouse to be distributed to the population. Aid shipments are being seized by a combination of desperate civilians, lawless gangs, clan-affiliated thugs, and merchants of death. Chaos and apocalyptic scenery are the norm, not the exception. There is no denying the reality of the widespread malnutrition and hunger in the Gaza Strip. So if this is true, if there are a ton of foodstuffs going in and they're being taken over by gangs effectively, then like, okay, there's some logic there. All right, let's continue. Okay. All right, we can't really read the rest of the article. Oh, that's fucking cringe. In recent days, I've spoken with dozens of Gazans who are furious about what is unfolding around them. They are angry, one told me, at the hordes of selfish people who are attacking aid convoys to steal and collect aid in a horrific manner without caring for Gazans who choose not to participate in these humiliating and demeaning displays of inhumanity, no matter the level of hunger. But their anger is directed primarily at Hamas, which they hold responsible for putting people of Gaza in this position and for its continued refusal to end the war started. Well, this seems true. I mean, Hamas is like rapidly losing support, just like Netanyahu is in Israel. Hitler fought in his bunker until he killed himself in World War II in the Battle of Berlin, another person said, comparing that Hamas is hunkered down in tunnels willing to see Gaza destroyed to the very last child. Wouldn't doubt that. Hamas actually wants a famine in Gaza. Producing mass death from hunger is the group's final play. I wouldn't doubt that. That sounds like Hassan as well. That's why he didn't advocate for Kamala Harris to be voted in and pretends that they would have been the same as Trump. It's the last hope for ending the war in a way that advances its goals. Hamas has benefited from Israel's decision to use food as a lever against the terror group because the catastrophic conditions for civilians have generated an international outcry, which is worsening Israel's global standing and forcing the to reverse course. Online supporters of terror groups have constantly attacked any efforts to alleviate the crisis in posts and videos. They have dismissed efforts to send in food by convoys of trucks from Egypt and Jordan, pointing out to the chaotic scenes as desperate Gazans scramble for aid. They have likewise attacked the airdrops that are now underway and called for them to be stopped immediately. Hamas's evident desire to extend and deepen the crisis of hunger helps explain the recent breakdown of ceasefire negotiations, even as Gazans are needlessly dying. The group's I don't even know how to fucking say that. What the fuck, dude? I can't read for shit. Intransigence is the word. Led both Israel and Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, to walk away from the talks. So I guess intransience or whatever the fuck it is. What is this?
Intransigence.
Refusal to change one's views or to agree about something. Okay. Walk away from the talks. If hunger, crisis, and humanitarian issues are addressed, Hamas can no longer use the suffering of Gazans to generate an international outcry to use the resolute leverage to end the war of its own terms. I will say this does seem to be a little probably too favorable of Israel. I'm going to be real with you. Actually, they might have a decent point because like I'm sure all of this is true, but like how this just tries to make it seem like Israel's 100% down to play ball, which is fucking stupid. That's not true. Like Netanyahu's administration is not down to play ball with this shit. But the two-state solution conference conveyed by France and Saudi Arabia at the United Nations shows the way forward. In a remarkable statement endorsed by the EU and the Arab League, the participants condemned the October 7th attacks and taking of hostages and declared that Hamas must end its rule in Gaza and hand over its weapons to the Palestinian Authority. The conference envisions the end of hostilities, the establishment of an international mission in Gaza, and the ultimate return of the Palestinian Authority to the Strip. Many Arab states have been reluctant to call out Hamas publicly, even though they do privately on a regular basis for fear of upsetting their own populations. But now they have recognized the importance of openly and transparently calling for Hamas to give up control in Gaza and disarm. Both Israel and international communities should capitalize on this shift to isolate the terror organization and give hope for a better trajectory for Gaza's future. If Hamas believes that the suffering of Gazans bolster its cause, Israel's decisions makers should take that to heart. They shouldn't abandon their misguided and inhumane policies. They should abandon their misguided and inhumane policies and cease their efforts to pressure the population as a means of pressuring the terror group. The best way to undermine Hamas's position is to instead flood Gaza with food and to alleviate the suffering of its people. Yeah, I mean, I will say this is a little too charitable, in my opinion, to Israel. It's not like terrible, but it kind of, I mean, the end here is like, oh, Israel decision makers should take it to heart and they shouldn't abandon their misguided and inhumane policies of ceasefire and cease their efforts to pressure the population. So what this is like a charitable way of saying like Israel right now is oppressing Gazans as a way to pressure Hamas, right? And so like obviously Hamas and the Israeli government specifically are problematic and disgusting, really, when it comes to the population of Palestine. Like they're oppressing Palestinians. So it was a little too charitable in my opinion, but I don't think it was like terrible.
it's quite silly. For example, Al-Khatib describes Israel as having the goal of separating the civilian population from Hamas. This is
Israel has unnecessarily re-engineered the distribution of aid, failing to achieve its goal of separating this. That's what they've been trying to do, yeah.
Is a lie. Israel's war is not against Hamas, it's against the Palestinian people, and
You're stupid.
been that way since day one. There's no debate on this either. It's the
There is a debate on it. What are you talking about?
consensus of every major independent human rights group.
All these groups agree that Israel's not trying to take out Hamas? What? What are the Amnesty International? Amnesty concludes Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. Okay. Israel's crime of extension of acts of goods, okay, gotcha. United Nations Special Committee, UN condemns genocidal acts. Okay, they're condemning genocidal acts, prevention, statement of risk. None of these people are saying that it's against Gazans. Or excuse me, you're claiming that Israel wants to kill all people in Gaza. What's really seems to be happening is Israel doesn't give a fuck about Palestinian people as they're assaulting Gaza and they're killing them, and Hamas also doesn't give a fuck about Palestinian people because they're hiding within civilian infrastructure. And so as Israel or the Israeli government and Hamas fight, Palestinians are dying because neither side cares about them. But this isn't a fight against people in Gaza. This is a fight against Hamas. These things don't prove that you're correct, that it's about killing all Palestinians, but okay.
Humanitarian organizations, international legal bodies, and most genocide scholars. For him to uncritically present Israel's characterization of its intent here without
That's not, okay, whatever.
qualification.
I don't know what else we would have expected from a Noah Samson video.
Ignoring all of the evidence to the contrary, he's just laundering IDF propaganda.
I mean, you ignore the evidence that Hamas hides within civilian infrastructure to hide themselves while they commit, terror acts, but
that's what this is. Al-Khatib next describes a surge of trucks being seized by a combination of desperate civilians, lawless gangs, clan-affiliated thugs, and merchants of death. So first, the aid that Israel started to let through in late July is virtually nothing. It is, according to the independent organizations that usually provide aid in Gaza that Israel is blocking, minuscule compared to what is needed to prevent widespread death due to starvation.
Okay, so how much is it? What's the number that needs to be prevented? Okay, hold on. All right, so what is this claim again?
That is truly nothing. It is. So first, the aid that Israel started to let through in late July is virtually nothing. It is, according to the independent organizations that usually provide aid in Gaza that Israel is blocking, minuscule compared to what is needed to prevent widespread death due to starvation.
Okay, well, what you showed on screen was nothing. To avert further death and inhumane suffering with starvation, Israel must immediately restore unimpeded access of Gaza by impartial humanitarian organizations, including the UN, Relief and Works Agency, and the UN Office for the... Okay, gotcha. A bunch of other shit. All states must act decisively to prevent Israel's destruction of the conditions of life in Gaza to stop its endless war on humanity. The experts say states must do everything in their power to restore... Okay, over 500,000 people, a quarter of Gaza's population, are facing famine. The rest are suffering from emergency levels of hunger. All 320,000 children under 5 are at risk of acute malnutrition. Starvation has been used as a savage weapon of the war, constitutes crime under the international law. Israel's failed experiment with militarized privatized aid delivery by Gaza's Humanitarian Foundation has increased or inflicted the severe food shortages and killed almost 1,400 people seeking food. This is a predictable result of a disruptive effort in partial humanitarian relief and trust. Okay. Previous communication, they condemned 2 Israeli laws that prohibited Israel cooperation with UNRWA, which has long played a vital role. Okay. There's nowhere in this article where it says how much aid is required. I'm not understanding what you're referencing. What does he mean that that's not enough? I mean, that might be true. I just need something there.
Israel is blocking. Is, according to the independent organ, Israel started to...
What? Oh, this is probably a better source. Sorry that it's AI. So I don't know why. What he showed on the screen had, not from what I read, had no information about what his claim, that they're not sending in enough. Okay, so the government media office in Gaza reported that between July 27th and July 31st, so this is late July when they started putting through, a total of 485 aid trucks entered Gaza Strip. The average about roughly 97 trucks per day during this specific 5-day period. However, other sources offer a different perspective. A Channel 4 fact check analysis states that since a change in Israel's policy on airdrops, which began on the 26th of July, the average number of trucks allowed into Gaza has been around 190 per day. This number is still far below 500 to 600 trucks per day recommended by the UN. Well, what's the change in Israel's policy on airdrops? So I guess the claim is that there's not enough aid. The airdrops are only making up like 1%. So this is the pause in humanitarian aid. or total Israel blockade. So there was nothing allowed here up until the 5th, I guess from March to May. So 2 months. Then they started letting it back in. Then they increased. This is where I guess this is where things started to open up again. So this is the end of July. Tactical pauses of violence and airdrops begin, and the number goes up, but they're still claiming that this is not enough. And the UN recommendation is between 500 and 600 trucks per day. So even at the bare minimum, which would be 500, which would be down here, they're only hitting, like half, maybe a little more of the recommended, food trucks per day. Gotcha. Okay, that's from Channel 4. Furthermore, Oxfam, over 100 organizations claim that despite assurances from Israel authorities of no limits on aid, most major international NGOs weren't able to deliver any trucks or supplies since March 2nd. Okay, we already knew that. The World Food Program reported that in the week of July, they dispatched 349 trucks carrying roughly 4,200 metric tons of food to Gaza. They also noted that during the same period, only 76 of 138 requested aid convoys were approved to collect cargo. Okay, so sure. I don't understand. Like, he's not wrong here. Why not properly cite this information? Like, he can't even properly cite his sources when he's right. It's just, what are you doing?
Is virtually nothing. It is, according to the independent organizations that usually provide aid in Gaza that Israel is blocking, minuscule compared to what is needed to prevent widespread death due to starvation.
It's about half. So yeah, the UN, I guess, defines the trucks as 500 to 600 trucks of humanitarian aid daily to meet the basic needs of the population. Okay.
Al-Khatib describes this less than bare minimum aid as a surge of trucks.
Well, it is a surge of trucks comparatively to what they had before, but I still think this is probably a decent point.
Is a subtle way of obscuring that reality. When he describes the gangs and thugs that are looting the aid, the groups he's referring to are not Hamas. They are ISIS-linked criminal gangs that are backed by the IDF. He leaves.
Then he says Israel is fighting Hamas in various ways amid claiming. Oh, okay. So it's ISIS gotcha back to AIDS. Maybe. I mean, I guess I wouldn't doubt it.
Backed by the IDF. He leaves this out, though.
So from what I'm seeing, there's no credible source that says that these gangs that Israel is backing are taking the stuff. Can you show us that? Because you're showing. So on the screen, what we have here is it's seized by a combination of desperate civilians, which makes sense, lawless gangs, and clan-affiliated thugs and merchants of death. So different forms of gangs. So that's fine. Can you show us like where those gangs are Israel's?
Hamas. They are ISIS-linked criminal gangs.
Because this is just an article that says Netanyahu says Israel's fighting Hamas in various ways. So this is an article that's saying that Israel's basically backing, I guess you'd say alternative terrorist organizations to try to disrupt Hamas. So, okay, can you show us?
By the IDF. He leaves this out, though, and instead...
But can you just show us that they're the ones stealing the stuff?
Instead makes a vague allusion to...
No, he's not going to. Okay.
Merchants of death. Now, he doesn't outright mention Hamas here, but the clear implication with this vague language in an article about Hamas is that they are the ones stealing aid.
They probably are also stealing aid.
Is false. It is a lie that Israel and its propagandists have told throughout the last 2 years to justify Israel's genocidal campaign of weaponized starvation.
Okay. You don't think that any people in Hamas are doing that at all? You think it's just... Okay. I guess this is what I'm talking about. They have to whitewash it. Like, yeah, it seems like Israel's a problem. Israeli government's a problem. But, like, every time Hamas comes up, they're good. They're ultimately, like, the number one good. And they are the greatest in the entire world. Like, that's what we're hearing here. That's the level of... that's just the level that we get, baby. That they're just fucking incredible. No, of course Hamas is not stealing anything. Of course Hamas is not hiding within civilian infrastructure. Of course Hamas is not... Okay.
Has been debunked by both sources from within the Israeli military itself, as reported in the New York Times, as well.
So we gotta go look at this one too. Okay, so reading through it, one, this article says no proof that they routinely stole UN aid, because they did still steal aid. Hamas does steal aid when there's not proper facilitation of distribution for that aid. So they directly steal the aid. I don't know how much they potentially steal from people after it's been distributed. I don't know if that's a thing. There's no like wide scale proof of that, though it might be possible. But when it comes to specific organizations that are like, especially United States backed organizations, and UN-backed organizations. The aid that they get, they have determined is overwhelmingly does go to Gazan people. That's the claim. So they do steal aid, though.
The last 2 years. Aid. This is false. It is a lie.
It's not a lie. So I have to see how. Israel obviously is going to use propaganda too. So is Hamas. But how old are these tweets, and why are you cutting off the 8 times that they come out?
Language in an article about Hamas is that they are the.
That's one of the things is that, like, since Hamas does steal aid, they've had to restrict the organizations that go in. They have to make sure that they are organizations that will actually properly distribute the aid. So how long ago are these from? Let's just read this overview here. So the U.S. aid analysis from January 2025 found no evidence of widespread aid diversion by Hamas between October 23 and 2024 and 25. The analysis also indicated that less than 1% of all U.S.-funded aid was affected by theft, loss, diversion, fraud, or waste. Okay. The U.S. Aid Office Inspector General is investigating allegations of Hamas interference, diversion, and theft of humanitarian aid in Gaza, as well as the smuggling of contraband through humanitarian aid shipments. The Times of Israel reported in August 2025 that the UN admitted that 88% of aid trucks delivered between January and March did not reach their destination due to looting. That's a lot. So if this is true, the Times... Oh, this is the Times of Israel reported that, though, so I don't know how accurate that is. And a BBC report indicated that Hamas grabbed significant quantities during this period, selling some on the black market and providing it to loyalists. The Israeli military claims Hamas diverted up to 24% of the aid supplies, but Reuters could not independently verify. Okay, so these are a lot of claims from Israel, which may or may not be true. We don't know, or it's probably partially true. Some smaller organizations have donated aid, reportedly theft from Hamas. There is no evidence of routine, though. Okay, a lot of this is routine theft. The international U.S. government analysis found no evidence of widespread Hamas theft. Okay, however, what does that mean? Interesting. This, I guess was it Reuters article finds that they're actually apparently upwards of almost a third, maybe like roughly 30% of incidents where aid supplies were reported stolen or lost were either directly or indirectly due to Israel's military action. So, like, yeah, I mean, there's some arguments here. The U.S. aid study notes a limitation. It's possible that the U.S.-funded supplies reached administrative officials of Hamas because Palestinians received aid could not be vetted. It's also cautioned that the absence of widespread aid diversion reports doesn't mean it. Okay. According to a source familiar with U.S. intelligence, relies on Israel report. Okay, so there's a huge problem here because it's incredibly challenging to completely dismiss what's being said, because here's how you have it. You have aid organizations who are trusted, usually like U.S. backed and whatnot. They bring aid in, they set it down, and then they distribute it. So there's no way that Hamas could run up on it and steal it. However, it's impossible to figure out if the people that are asking for the aid are Hamas affiliated, and if whether or not they take those resources and give them to Hamas. There are obviously instances of Hamas taking aid, especially for small organizations that aren't properly vetting or properly defending as they're giving stuff out. But this does seem to be a gross exaggeration based on all reports from the Israeli government, for sure.
False. It is a lie that Israel and its propagandists have told throughout the last 2 years to justify Israel's genocidal...
Well, it's not just the last 2 years. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
...campaign of weaponized starvation. It has been debunked by both sources from within the Israeli military itself, as reported in the New York Times, as well as analysis done...
What is this one? No proof Hamas routinely stole... Oh, we already read that one.
Sources from within the Israeli military itself, as reported in the New York Times, as well as analysis done by USAID. I found this article here through Ground News, which is the sponsor of today's video. Christ. Part of the problem with Al-Khatib's article is that it ignores sources which contradict his framing. But
he's probably right about that, to be honest with you. I think that that the guy does run a little bit defense for Israel. He's a little too charitable to Israel.
This isn't unique to him. This is how Western media outlets operate. This is reflected in part by how of the 74 articles that covered this story, only 8 of them, or 17%, came from right-leaning sources. Ground News has a feature called Blind Spot, which tracks when this sort of thing happens to see when information is being left out on political grounds. Ground allows you to compare the framing of these articles too, and when we do that, we can see some pretty important contrasts. The Jerusalem Post, for example, after accurately recounting the claim about US aid in its article title, immediately undercuts the analysis, writing in the subheading, the study also noted that because Palestinians who receive aid cannot be vetted, it was possible that US-funded supplies went to administrative officials of Hamas. So,
well, yeah, that is possible.
While we have no evidence that this happened, it may have happened by accident while we were feeding crowds of thousands of starving people. But
so that's going to hurt you because that's not what they're saying. They're saying it's possible that there are people who are going and getting resources and then they're part of Hamas. So like the fact that you can't even admit that is a little bit concerning. I mean, to me at least, it's like, oh, okay, that's very that's extraordinarily biased, but okay.
We're actually not sure. Meanwhile, Haaretz, which is one of the most Israel-critical outlets that operates from within the country, noted in the subheading that many of the stolen or lost aid incidents were actually due to Israeli military action. Both articles...
It's not what it says. This is what the problem is that's not what it says. It doesn't say it says directly or indirectly. The fact that you're so willing to remove that context, it just makes you look so biased. Every single moment, it's like he'll bring up a decent point, and then he'll devastate his own point by not actually being accurate about the context in which he's giving the point on. And it just comes off as just like so stupid and lazy.
Start from the same point, but veer in opposite directions.
Like you're doing exactly what Israel does, no? The Israeli government. You're spinning it in a way the best that you can to fit whatever narrative you want to fit.
With the subheadings. Ground News has these tools: bias distribution tracking, article headline comparison, ownership information, and factuality filters, all on a platform with no ads. It is subscriber funded, which keeps the analysis neutral and helps to avoid sensationalism and clickbait content. Go to ground.news/Noah to stay fully informed on issues that matter to you. Save 40% for unlimited access to the Vantage plan through my link this month only. All right, now let's get back to the article we were looking at. Al-Khatib next cites anonymous, unverified sources from Gaza, which should be taken with a grain of salt, to say the least, when they are being quoted by a genocide denier. A genocide denier.
Oh yeah, this is, well, I don't think he's a genocide denier. Maybe he is, I don't know. But like, yes, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that's pushed by this guy. So like, you can't 100% vet that.
Of the genocide of his own people, no less. And yes, Al-Khatib is a genocide denier. Here he is responding to a photo of a Palestinian man sitting in a chair in the ruins of Gaza. So which is it? A genocide, that's in quotes, or a victory for the resistance? People experiencing genocide don't generally emerge flexing and showing off in a cross-legged posture with a cup of tea to collect likes and shares. If you read the legal definition...
Why undermine Gazans' suffering with such nonsense? I mean, maybe he has a point here, I guess.
Indian man sitting...
Okay. I don't really care to weigh in. I don't really know what to say about this. I mean, like, it looks like there's a gross amount of destruction in the back, and this guy's doing a photo op. He's an attractive guy, so maybe there's some kind of media propaganda. I don't... Why talk about this? How does this make you look good? This guy looks like a fucking idiot saying this. So like, yeah, he's actually Noah's kind of pushing the argument. That doesn't mean that Ethan knows that he's a fucking cuck, but this guy is not helping himself with the way that he presents himself.
Victory for the resistance. People experiencing genocide don't generally emerge flexing and showing off in a cross-legged posture with a cup of tea to collect likes and shares. If you read the legal definition of genocide, you will notice no stipulations about photos of people drinking tea. This is a Nazi tier argument. You know, they had dinners in Auschwitz. How could it be a genocide? It's a troublingly normalized argument for Zionists right now, especially as they attempt to deny the white...
I will say it doesn't really seem to be a very good... I don't think it helps Ethan to support this guy.
Spread starvation in Gaza, but a Nazi argument.
How long ago did they do this this aid for Gaza thing?
Less. This tweet is from January of 2025, well after consensus had been reached that what Israel is doing is a genocide. And if you search through, you'll notice that the only time he uses the word genocide is to complain about the people that...
Let's read his...
January of 2025, well after consensus had been reached that what Israel is doing is a genocide. And if you...
Well, the problem is, I don't know if... because I even saw like Bernie Sanders talking about it. I don't think it matters if it's called a genocide or not, because I think it's disgusting and it's a destruction of it's just disgusting and it's horrific onto people of Gaza. There is like some contentions on it. I even saw like Bernie talking about it. I don't think it matters if it is one or not, because what they're doing is disgusting. I just don't know if it hits the technical definition. Some people are calling it a genocide. I think they're getting groped up in whether it is or isn't a genocide. is kind of unproductive because we know what's happening is fucking disgusting. So congratulations to the pro-Palestine activists who wanted to punish Democrats and kept screaming genocide, Joe and killer Kamala. Your emotionally intransigence, whatever, okay, you use that word a lot. An inability to think strategically were political nihilism, not one. Okay, this is actually legit though. Like he's saying like, oh, people like Noah Samson and Hassan who decided not to advocate for Kamala Harris winning have made things worse in Gaza, which is 100% true.
You search through, you'll notice that the only time he uses the word
from Gaza to New York, the Palestinian people seriously deserve better journalists and activists to stop glorifying terrorism, death cultism, war, suicidal armed resistance, and fake notions of victory after screaming about genocide for 15 months. We deserve better. This person says, yo, I can't believe I survived to witness this day. I legit thought I wouldn't. Next on the list, the day Israel ceases to exist. I don't know why he would say this. He looks fucking stupid in this one.
For genocide is to complain about.
Okay, this person says Gaza has won, Palestine has won, resistance has won, imperialism and Zionism has lost, the Democratic Party has lost, the future of the Zionist states continues to be eroded. Everyone who participated, aided, and abetted the genocide will continue to pay the price. How has Gaza won? Because the Democratic Party lost. What? So Gaza won even though it's experienced genocide due to. Well, he calls it a genocide here, though. So Gaza won even though it experienced genocide due to the glory. He didn't put it in quotes, so I'm assuming he thinks it's a genocide. Due to the glory of the resistance, despite tens of thousands of dead and utter destruction. Hamas nicks in the U.S. and the West are the enemies of Palestinian people and deserve contempt, ridicule, spread chaos. This is actually valid as fuck. Wait, hold on a second. There's something that's bothering me about this. But that's actually valid as fuck. He's complaining about fucking liberals in America. And, like, this is obviously a fucking bot account of somebody saying some dumb shit about how, like, somehow Gaza's better under a Republican president. You're being fucking incredibly stupid. But something's bothering me about this. Yes, this is from January 15th. So he's doubting that it was a genocide here. This is from January 15th for sure. Okay, that's a bad one. This one is from August 8th, which is, like, valid, though. Wait, what the fuck? How often? It says August 8th. Oh, this one's from January 6th. Okay, this is from January 6th. Okay, gotcha. Okie dokie. Sorry, I just had like fucking idiot brain. He has all the titles, the dates in there. I, like, for some reason, I didn't see them. Okay, my bad. This is okay, yeah, okay, gotcha. Anyway, half of these are valid as fuck.
When Al-Khatib claims in this article that Hamas actually wants a famine in Gaza, he's leaving out some important context, which is that based on the negotiations, what Hamas actually wants is a permanent ceasefire. That's been the terms of all the agreements they've offered for the last 2 years. And the obstacle to this lasting, that's been the terms of all the agreements they've offered for the last 2 years.
Well, just to be clear, right after they, killed 1,200 people, there was no way they're getting a fucking ceasefire. So the 2 years argument's a little silly.
And the obstacle to this lasting ceasefire has always been the Israeli government. They want it to be temporary so they can break it and continue the genocide. You can speculate all you want about people's internal desires, but the facts show that Israel is the only one, aside from the US, that has the power to end the genocide, to let aid through and stop the starvation.
So there's like a lot here when it comes to like the back and forth. So Israel wants a temporary ceasefire because they want to completely eradicate Hamas. And I think that some people could make a reasonable argument that they do not. Well, they obviously don't give a shit about people in Gaza, like actual Gazans dying as they eradicate Hamas. They have very low value of life for Palestinians, but so does Hamas. That's why they hide within civilian infrastructure. The problem is, though, I guess Hamas also wants Israel to be completely withdrawn from Gaza as a key component, which I don't know how that kind of works out in the overall safety of Israel, because they do consistently attack them. They have been for a long time before October 7th. I mean, really, it seems like the only solution really is some kind of two-state solution. Yeah, I mean, it's a complex issue, I guess.
But they aren't doing that because they are committing a genocide, right? Al-Khatib later, once again, frames Israel's deliberate campaign of starvation as a legitimate war tactic, calling it the lever they're pulling against Hamas. When again, it has been established by everyone except Israel, the US, and guys like this, that it is a genocidal act being committed not against Hamas, but against the entire Palestinian population of Gaza. The so-called war aim is described by Al-Khatib as Hamas wanting to worsen Israel's global standing. He grants no aid agency here to Israel, though, who is the sole party responsible for worsening its global image by...
Well, that's not true. Hamas is part of that as well. Like, let's not... Like, this is what I'm talking about. Again, you're pretending that Hamas is amazing. You have to stop that. Israel's world standing has drastically reduced. Let's be absolutely fucking real. Part of it is because they don't have a high value of life onto Palestinians, and then, but yes, Hamas is willing to let Palestinians die and hide within civilian infrastructure so that they can make Israel look worse. Right? Like, that's the point. That's why I think there's been a reduction in support for Hamas in Palestine, and like Hassan complained about it. So. Yeah, I mean, there's a level of truth to that, of course.
Committing a genocide. Israel is taking the actions that create the images we're seeing in Gaza. Widespread destruction, children blown to pieces, babies starving to death. If Hamas wants the world to hate Israel for doing that, then good. They should want that, and everyone should want that.
But what does that look like? Because they are hiding again within civilian infrastructure. So it's like, they want Palestinians to die. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you can't go, Israel's disgusting, the government's disgusting for what's happening, but so is Hamas for throwing their own people in the way as people are killed. I don't understand. I don't understand why your condemning of Israel has to come with the whitewashing of Hamas. That's the only thing I don't understand.
Khatib later writes, online supporters of the terror group have consistently attacked any efforts to alleviate the crisis. In posts and videos, they have dismissed efforts to send in food by convoys of trucks from Egypt and Jordan, pointing to the chaotic scenes as desperate Gazans scramble for aid. They have likewise attacked the airdrops that are now underway and called for them to be stopped immediately. All right, so first, Israel and the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation have been mowing down starving Palestinians seeking aid every day for months. They are shooting and killing children deliberately. They are making them run across miles of...
Deliberately? I saw something that there are people getting shot that and that was one of the consensuses. I don't know if it's music from the articles that I was reading before while we were doing this. But why deliberately? A Palestinian boy was shot dead in the neck in Israel occupation forces while he was trying to get to Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid distribution point in Rafah. That's what Israel and the US are normalizing. Okay. So it seems like there's people getting shot. It says the 875 people have been killed in Gaza while seeking food as of 13th of July. I don't know what year. I want to understand why. Why are they getting shot? Like, what is the reason? I'm not saying the reason is a good reason, but I want to understand, like, what is the specific reason? I think I understand now.
Been stopped for aid. They have likewise attacked the airdrops that are now underway and called for them to be stopped immediately. All right, so first, Israel and the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation have been mowing down starving Palestinians seeking aid every day for months. They are shooting and killing children deliberately. They are making them run across miles of desert and crowding them into cages and killing them. None of this is...
So, I don't know if that's accurate. I'm sure that they're shooting civilians. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Okay, there's different on-the-ground reports saying that, nothing 100% verified. Israel's saying they're just firing warning shots in the air. But it seems like a majority of this is either there's some kind of the majority of it is there's a new infrastructure that was implemented that has been criticized from the start that makes it more difficult to get resources to people because they have to run to different aid sites instead of whatever the traditional model was. That's how the majority of people are dying. Of like the 1,000 people who have died trying to get food. Who they're getting killed by, not sure. They could be dying of starvation. They could be getting killed by, different factions in Gaza. They could be killing Hamas. I don't know. And then some of them are like disputes. Like some of them are probably the aid sites getting attacked as well. Okay, gotcha.
Is disputed. It's all been confirmed by both Israeli soldiers and U.S. military.
It's a killing field. IDF soldiers ordered to shoot deliberately at unarmed Gazans waiting for humanitarian aid. Yeah, somebody had said that. This is the article. I looked into it. It says that this is a pretty it's reputable. You could trust this source. So IDF officers and soldiers told Haaretz they were ordered to fire at unarmed crowds near food distribution sites in Gaza, even when there is no threat present. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed, prompting military persecution. Interesting. So what I'm reading through this article, and what they're talking about in this article, is that basically what's happening is that, for one, they open these sites for an hour a day, which seems to be problematic. And what's happening is they don't let anybody approach before that hour a day. And if they do, they shoot at them. They don't try to shoot them necessarily, but they shoot at them to disperse them. And that's like the primary issue is I guess they are shooting some of them. There are also shooting incidents. There are people that bring guns even though they're not supposed to on the other side. So the context here seems to be that it's incredibly chaotic. Overall, the biggest issue seems to be that Israel decided to change the way that it distributes aid in a way that creates chaos to make it more difficult to disperse aid. That seems to be the number one problem. But this isn't, the article, the headline, so Noah Samson's telling of this is misleading because like really what's happening based on this article is that like the infrastructure is so bad it's causing people to get shot. It's not that Israel's being told to just mow down civilians. That's the idea of it. And I guess the rationale is like if they're approaching before the time they're supposed to give stuff out, that they could be some kind of a threat or something, or they're cutting the line. I don't really know, but it's causing a problem. And then, of course, the counter from Israel is that they're just shooting into the air. It's warning shots, which is probably a level of truth to it. But again, the infrastructure is the problem. That seems to be the biggest issue.
Contractors. But here, Al-Khatib describes all of this vaguely and passively as, quote, chaotic scenes of people, quote, scrambling for aid. Yes, there is chaos, and yes, people are scrambling for aid. But the reason they're doing that is because Israel is shooting them and killing them with
well, no, that's not the reason why.
Tanks and drones and naval ships.
Well, no, the reason that it's chaotic is because the infrastructure Israel decided to implement is seemingly intentionally chaotic to create a problem. Again, I don't understand why you can't understand your own point. I don't get it.
And the reason they're even scrambling for aid at all is because Israel has starved them for 2 years straight.
And the new infrastructure is shit.
Airdrops don't work. They're nowhere near enough aid, and they are literally killing people by crushing them or landing in the sea and forcing starving Palestinians to swim where many have drowned.
I wouldn't doubt that. But they also, like, based on what we've looked at before, here, the airdrops, they're not even significant enough to warrant them. And I would imagine airdrops are easier to steal. So I don't even know why they're doing airdrops. It doesn't even make any sense. Because, like, this is the here. So you have, like, this is the red. Yeah. I don't know where the fuck the yellow even is. There's no yellow on this map. It's insignificant that it's like impossible to even tell what the fuck's going on here.
Aid drops continue. Dangerous and haphazard and nowhere near enough. And again, the desperate scramble to reach what they deliver. There's fighting and gunshots, young people risking their lives for a handful of supplies. 52 aid-related deaths just in the last 24 hours, according to the Gaza Health Ministry.
There's only one real solution here to stop mass death from starvation, and that's Israel lifting its genocidal siege. Al-Khatib opted not to cite any of these so-called online terror supporters or their arguments, but that's for good reason, because most of these activists have been calling for Israel to lift the siege. They want Palestinians to live, and they're not as stupid or morally bankrupt as to believe that these PR gestures are enough. They're not. Al-Khatib does not directly cite these critics because he can't. Demonizing Palestinian activists is what the pro-Israel think tank he works for pays him to do.
I mean, listen, man, I don't... Not for nothing, but I mean, outside of the fact that Noah is presenting some of his information very poorly in an incredibly biased way, there is, there's some, overall, it's not necessarily wrong about everything he's saying. Like, the overall idea that, I wouldn't doubt that this guy is like some kind of fucking, like, Israel, just kind of fucking cuck. He's far too charitable to Israel in the same way that Noah's far too charitable to Hamas.
And he wants to get paid. It makes perfect sense. Here's how Al-Khatib ends his article. He writes, "If Hamas believes that the suffering of Gazans bolsters its cause, Israeli decision makers should take that to heart. They should abandon their misguided and inhumane policies and cease their efforts to pressure the population as a means of pressuring the terror group. The best way to undermine Hamas's position is to instead flood Gaza with food and to alleviate the suffering of its people." So this is what's called lip service, right? He calls for a flood of aid after writing an entire article using all all of the arguments that Israel uses to justify its starvation campaign. If all of this is Hamas's fault, as Al-Khatib notes, if Israel really is starving the Gaza Strip strategically to target Hamas, as Al-Khatib suggested, and if Hamas are the ones stealing aid, as Al-Khatib subtly implied, then he should be against aid coming in. He says he's not, though, which is a contradiction.
Well, no, I'm more... I mean, that is a good point, but I think it's more... It's overall, it's way too charitable to Israel. I will say that seems to be the case. So sure,
people aren't buying it. The comments under the Instagram post of the Atlantic article were very critical. Israel
is letting in so little aid. What's up, Brian? Why they're letting in so little aid? Yeah, I think it's part of it is to sow the chaos. I mean, listen, part of it is probably because Hamas is to some extent taking stuff, but I think that it's part of it is like to try to manufacture like an issue and then continue to blame it on Hamas and to continue to pressure people in Gaza. I guess until I don't know, there's more pro-Israeli sentiment. I have no fucking idea. But it's not just the amount of shit that they're letting in; it's also the infrastructure in which they are letting it in is causing a problem.
Responsible for blocking aid into Gaza. Tell the truth. That comment has 3,000 likes. Are y'all high? No one is starving the population except Israel. No one. 1,800 likes. Imagine being the Atlantic and choosing genocide over human rights. Shame, shame, shame. 3,500 likes. The point of this segment of the stream was to mention that this disgusting genocide-denying collaborator is the only, quote, Palestinian voice that Ethan Klein has platformed in the last 2 years.
I mean, I suppose that is fair. I don't think that Ethan properly vetted that person. I think it was probably one of those things where he's like, oh, I can be good for Gaza too. And like, I mean, honestly, possibly as just like a fuck you to Hassan, being like, oh, you know what I mean? I mean, okay. Yeah.
He is a token whose rhetoric supports Israel, the state that is genociding his people. And he does this because he gets paid to do it. Ethan platforms him because they want the same thing. They want to position Palestinian resistance as the real cause for Israel's genocide.
I don't think that that's true. From everything I've seen from Ethan, I don't think that's true. I think it's a misstep. And I think it's almost like a petty play. When did they have this guy on their fucking platform? 2 months ago. Yeah, this one does not make Ethan look very good. I wonder what the sentiment was from them.
And paint anyone supporting that resistance as terrorists and terrorist supporters. Anyways, that's my brief response to the article. Now let's get back to the stream where we talk more about the freak who wrote it.
The Palestinian who wrote this travesty has a master's in intelligence studies from American University and has written pieces for the Washington Institute of Near East Policy, a think tank founded by AIPAC in 1985. He now runs the Realign for Palestine program at the Atlantic Council, another think tank and CIA cutout.
I would have liked to see if Lonerbox has any pushback, but everything points to Noah being mostly right about this guy.
On Twitter, he openly reposts virulent Israeli Hasbaras and wages war against liberatory language. He always tries to angle it from the perspective of like, I'm a Palestinian, my family has been killed by Israel, and I think the real enemy here is not Israel, but it's actually Hamas. His role in the imperial system is to muddy the waters surrounding the framework of the two-state solution by weaponizing his Palestinian identity, thereby complicating the situation. This is for material gain and political access. My latest for The Atlantic, Hamas actually wants
That does seem to be the case.
Famine. Hamas actually wants a famine in Gaza.
I think that Ethan was just like so anti-Hassan brain that he's bringing on anybody that will like talk to him that doesn't like Hassan. And maybe that guy represents that as well.
Reducing mass death from hunger is the group's final play. Its last hope for ending the war in a way that advances its goals. The deception of fake anti-Hamas peaceniks, Khalil Jerry's, has thoroughly shown himself to be nothing more than a typical fraudulent peace activist. His entire Realign for Palestine program is literally just one big psyop to confuse the framework in service of intelligence interests. Ahmed Fouad al-Khatib is a classic example of how colonialism cannot survive without native collaboration. Realign from radical extremism to radical pragmatism.
Radical pragmatism.
Yeah,
that's
calls for more violence must be rejected. Violence only fosters fear, resentment, and retribution. So,
I mean, yeah, kind of. It would be like, okay. I mean, there's really nothing to really contest here, because I guess I would define like this type of radical pragmatism would be like someone who I mean, like, I hate to bring it to something super because it's not even close to the same thing, but like when Asmongold, I mean, the most recent thing talks about the LGBT like minus T shit. It's like radical pragmatism. Well, most of the problems are with trans people. Oh, maybe we got to separate the T from the LGBT, even though most of the problem is that conservatives won't stop fucking bitching about trans people as part of their content strategy. And so it's like radical pragmatism. If only we separated the T, that'll get things going. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I guess the similar energy. Obviously, the stakes are not the same, But yeah.
So like a lot of the language that he's using is specifically tailored towards like liberal interests,
100%,
and liberal needs.
100%.
So that he's basically like the kind of guy that if you criticize, people are going to go, "What the fuck do you mean? This is a Palestinian."
You're speaking Palestinian voices. Yeah,
these guys
will. It's like you're making it up on the spot there, huh?
Very rarely ever apply this.
You don't think the Palestinian guys as bad as they make him out to be, but he definitely plays both sides too much and leans towards blaming Hamas for everything. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. That's fair. That's totally fair. Totally fair.
Metric to the actual party that is doing maximalist violence, that is using maximalist language, right? Israel. Israel is the responsible colonial entity for all of the violence that has unfolded in the region, even violence.
I think Ethan associating himself with this guy. I wonder. I guess the question is that does the aid that this guy works for get aid to Gaza? Yeah, it seems like Ethan is farther left than the Palestinians than this guy. I just don't know. I mean, they've been raising money for aid, no? Has it got there? One of the problems is the framing of like being pro-NATO makes them somehow too far right. It's very strange. But I mean, are we doubting that he's actually getting, like, they're actually raising money for Palestinian people?
That Israel itself has experienced, like October 7, because they set the standard for violence. They set the standard for violence, and then the inevitable reaction to the practices of apartheid that are inherently violent will, of course, invoke a violent response. This is how it works. Okay.
When people talk about, cycles of violence, there is truth to the idea of a cycle of violence, but the disproportionate power, and then specifically like the inception point of that violence, the violence started somewhere, and it was the foundation of Israel. Zionism as an ideology.
So, dude, that's the problem here, is that, like, okay, so up until this point, Noah was actually making some good points about this guy, but the cycle of violence started with the foundation of Israel. So what's the implication there? Israel should just not exist anymore. And why did Israel really get founded? Because the Nazis were genociding Jews, and the Jews were like, we need somewhere to be with us because everybody hates us, which the whole world did, unfortunately. And so they got that land that was given to them by the UN, which was unfair to Palestinian people because it displaced them. But, like, it's still valid that they're there now. And now we're just kind of here. Where do we go from here? But it's just like the dog whistle there that, like, Israel shouldn't exist. That's the problem. That's what's losing people.
Starts there. Everything that happens after that unfolds under the same logic, affirming the same ideology, and reactive violence is treated by people like this.
It's not true. What are you talking about?
Zionism as an ideology. It starts there. The violence started somewhere, and it was the foundation of Israel. Zionism.
So just to be clear.
Response. This is how it works.
Just listen.
Okay. When people talk about, cycles of violence, there is truth to the idea of a cycle of violence, but the disproportionate power, and then specifically like the inception point of that violence, the violence started somewhere, and it was the foundation of Israel. Zionism as an ideology. It starts there. Everything that happens after that unfolds under the same logic.
So none of that's true. That's not where it starts. It starts with Jews being genocided in World War II, then being given land and establishing Israel. That did displace Palestinians. They deserve reparations and they deserve their own state, but that did displace them. But the cycle of violence doesn't start with Israel. It starts with Hitler. I don't give a single fuck if none of the surrounding countries agreed to the establishment of Israel at all, because then all those surrounding countries oppressed the Jews and pushed, like, Middle Eastern Jews to go to Israel. So, like, this is the biggest problem with all of this stuff. This is the biggest issue with everything, is that we have a pretend start point that pins everything on the Jews rather than the real start point, which is Hitler. But we just like to cut that part off and pretend that this is all the Jews' fault. But okay.
Affirming the same ideology.
And they kept expanding. They kept expanding because they kept getting attacked. And then they would take land after they were attacked. Okay.
And reactive violence is treated by people like this. They're weighed in the same way. There is no comparison here, and there's no way to adequately, in a single article, even like contextualize the discrepancy in the systematic nature of the violence. Like, the aid massacres, right? They're happening every day. It's like 50 people are getting gunned down while they're running into these.
I mean, sure, we can go beyond Hitler. We can go back to World War I and like Germany being forced to being economically oppressed and being forced to give to pay too much restitution over World War I. You know, we could continuously go back farther and farther for sure, but I think it's relevant to talk about why Israel was founded in the context of this argument. I mean, realistically speaking, if you want to say like, hey, let's stop talking about the past in some ways and just kind of figure out where we go from here, which is somewhat valid, because that's kind of what we're going to have to do. We can do that, but like, we can't continuously say the Jewish people are bad and Israel's bad for the mere existence of their state.
You know, cages that Israel has set up for them while starving. You see the bodies that are going into the hospitals. They have bullets in them, and you can see their hip bones. And it's like, this is happening every day, but people want to talk about rhetoric. They want to talk about
people's
terroristic
feelings, rhetoric.
People's feelings. It's about feelings and ideas and like
feelings of people in the West who like people
well,
who
you guys feel that NATO is a right-wing institution. So you guys, I feel like you guys are a little stupid there now.
Ideas and like
feelings of people in the West who like people who live in the comfortable bosom of the West and how this hurts their feelings. It's like, I don't care.
So, dude, I just can't deal with like the virtue signal on this because they wouldn't advocate for Kamala Harris. It's so funny. Like they're playing fucking games over here and like not advocating for like the correct person to be voted in and then pretending that everyone else is the fucking worst.
I don't care about people's feelings at this point. Like I usually don't when there's like a tremendous imbalance of power and asymmetry to the way that Israel has been able to slaughter so many Palestinians. It's completely ridiculous. To hyper focus on the feelings of people in the West is so insane to me.
And even when it comes to like genuine anti-Semites like Myron Gaines or something, or a Sneeko, where they do not like Jewish people and they're using pro-Palestine, rhetoric to facilitate that anti-Semitism. Even when it comes to that, people that focus in the entirety of their time, and it's fine to want to criticize the anti-Semitism there, but if all you're doing is looking at these examples of rhetorical anti-Semitism, these things these people are saying, which are anti-Semitic, but you're talking about tweets, you're talking about words versus systematic mass.
Well, hasn't anti-Semitism gone up like dramatically after fucking October 7th? What, in the United States?
Murder and genocide
that
is
part?
Actually happening right now on the ground with real people, and at the same time also the government is doing the same rhetoric, or worse, the people in power, not random podcasters. Then you're helping that second group.
I tried to describe this to the Nelk boys after they interviewed Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, what a bunch of fucking stupid fucks talking to Netanyahu. That's one of the craziest things in the entire world to me. And I feel like that was like that's an atmosphere created by Donald Trump. Is this like fucking weird? Like I noticed after Netanyahu and Trump started to get a little more buddy that there was this very strange thing where they were like doing the Trump strategy, where they would go and do like fucking PR tours. It's actually insane. Netanyahu's doing PR tours is fucking insane. Like those fucking like giving them the opportunity to do that is fucking wild.
Conversation where I was like, I wouldn't talk to Nick Fuentes. I wouldn't have Nick Fuentes on the podcast because Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi, right? He is an overt anti-Semite. He has tremendous hatred for all different kinds of marginalized groups. But even Nick Fuentes,
wow, what a good guy,
is still a fucking neo-Nazi in America as like a podcaster. He's like a media personality. Benjamin Netanyahu is an actual war criminal that is responsible for this genocide, right? And he's not the only party that's responsible, but he's perhaps the most responsible. He's like spearheading this. And
sure, Netanyahu for sure.
There's even legal repercussions that are unprecedented from the likes of the ICC to try to get him arrested for these war crimes. Like this is probably one of the worst people on the planet at this moment, right? Sure. And therefore, he's even worse than Nick Fuentes to talk to. And I don't think Nick Fuentes is a person that I wouldn't give a platform to Nick Fuentes for his opinions to begin with. But he has the opinions and he's also implementing the action beyond it, right?
You said you wouldn't have Netanyahu on. I mean, they wouldn't offer, of course.
That would never happen regardless, but obviously it would be very different. A conversation between me and Netanyahu would take place in a very different setting than a conversation between
you wouldn't ask him about Burger King? No.
The reason why we're covering this, for a lot of people who say like, oh dude, like this is just drama, I totally understand why you think it is. But there is at this point like millions and millions of views that have come from these slop tube content creators in defense of Israel's genocide. Even if
not really. I mean, well, you are a slop tuber, but like, what is he referring to?
if they don't directly say that they're pro-Israel, even if they sometimes say they're anti-Israel, okay? Or even if they say what Israel's doing is genocide. If they we all have a finite amount of time on this planet, and certainly as content creators, we all have a limited amount of time to make an impact. If you're using all of that time to attack the pro-Palestinian side as aggressively as possible and never reserve even a fraction of that animosity towards the actual responsible party here, Israel, then you're not pro-Palestine. You're just not. You are a coward who is pro-Israel, but too ashamed to openly say you're pro-Israel.
I know, but like you lose everything when you, again, I'm going to really harp on the point because I think it's worth harping on, but you really don't get to be the guy that pretends that Kamala would have been just as bad as Trump and then sit here and lecture everybody on how terrible. I don't know. It's just I don't know, man. It just seems so fucking stupid. It just seems so stupid that you would sit here and you like to virtue signal about this topic and then you don't actually try to vote for the people who would be productive and have a positive, meaningful change like Kamala Harris and pretend that like Trump Gaza is somehow equivalent. Like the people who are trying to push for Trump Gaza Trump Gaza AI memes or somehow would be just as good as Kamala would be. That's insane.
Sure hoping your time here is finite, Law. I mean, we're all going to die, chatter.
Wait,
myself included.
It was your birthday a few days ago, right?
Yeah, I'm 34
birthday.
now. I'm
yeah, so, you know, doing what you're doing. I think drama as like a category, it doesn't really adequately cover what we're talking about here because we're talking about creators talking about other creators, but there's a lot of
It's just so funny because like they're both very desperate to pretend like what they're doing, especially Noah is not just fucking meaningless slop. And by the way, that's what we do over here too, boy. I'm not sitting here saying that we're any more than we are, but like there's a silliness there. There's a desperation to be taken more seriously than they deserve. Especially Noah. It's funny.
Regarding political issues that drama doesn't suffice if you're just because it gives a sort of a tone that you're just talking about another creator for the sake of talking about them.
Yeah.
When they are doing drama content in the sort of format that they've always used, but they're also defending a genocide with it by only attacking anti-genocide advocates. So
yeah,
I know, but you guys pretend that you're like you guys are just fucking dickheads that say wild shit over and over again. And you guys attack Ethan Klein, and like it's your sphere that's been sending him fucking human skulls, and then you're like, "Why are you attacking us? You really must be I mean, you really must be you must really hate people in Gaza." It's like, well, I think maybe it's because you guys are calling CPS on him. Like you guys in that sphere, it gets him locked into it, and Ethan's a petty fuck, so he's gonna keep talking about this shit too, justifiably so, especially after the human skull incident. So like, what are you talking about? Like what?
I hope that their audiences at the very least, like as the attitude around this shifts, as more and more people come to that recognition, I hope that people in their audiences at the very least, like even if they still fucking hate me or hate you or whoever the fuck, right? They still at least like arrive at the correct position inevitably. That's why I'm more, I guess I'm more open-minded about people who are like, oh, now it clicked for me, right? Like the average person online.
The average person online? What does that even mean?
That has only now come to this conclusion. I have a lot less smoke.
Who's coming to that conclusion? I feel like now Ethan has more charity on him than ever after iDubbbz.
For them than I do for politicians, for example. And my only expectation from those people that come to the conclusion, the correct interpretation of events, that Israel is doing a genocide, and it is perfectly valid, both legally and morally, to resist against the genocide of people, that they don't fucking do this wishy-washy, but, you know,
It's like, so who? Like, what does that look like? Does that look like assaulting people on it? What does it look like for them to validly fight back? I wonder.
Only came to this conclusion late because the left was too aggressive, or because I don't like Hassan, or because I don't like Noah. I don't like Bad Empanada and the way he was speaking about it. Like, don't try to...
Bad Empanada literally says you guys should vote Trump so that you could destroy the West and Gaza so that things get so bad that people will destabilize things. I don't know why you're still defending this guy.
To come in after the fact and then still,
oh right, because you agree with that. Probably I think that's why you agree with that.
They'll try to like attack people who have been on the right side on this issue from the start. I know people don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel, and maybe I made you feel really bad. I'm welcoming at this point.
Yeah, if
guys, I'm welcoming you at this point. I must have just made you feel bad even though I was right.
All the people that have been propagating these attacks against creators that are pro-Palestine or anti-genocide, if all of them decided I was wrong about this, I don't even care if they addressed that they were wrong. They don't need to tell us that we were right, because none of that really matters. What matters is that the genocide is happening, and and they have a platform to say something and shape public perception, and they need to start using it. And like, I think even on the left, a lot of people get caught up with this idea that like the history books will reflect poorly upon these people, which is absolutely true. But it gets to a point where people are more focused on the fact that people are wrong rather than wanting it to end and wanting to do whatever we can to do that.
Like, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, but you would vote Kamala. I voted for Kamala Harris. Did you guys? Did you guys advocate for that? What are you going to do to push for the end of it? You guys can't do that. Like you guys are such virtue signalers. You sit here like you got to do whatever. What do we got to do to signal the end? The biggest thing would have been to vote Kamala. She would have been better than Trump. You know, I don't understand. But like, oh, here we go. Like, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. I'd argue that Hassan didn't do anything to try to reduce this. That's why. What are you guys talking about? You guys are just like fucking virtue signaling like LARPing freaks. It's so fucking stupid, honestly. So dumb.
Example, okay? Mudahar. If Mudahar came out 10 toes down tomorrow and was like, fuck Israel, free Palestine, you know, he doesn't even have to say he was wrong in the past. I would literally be like, all right, good, you know, great. None of this like wishy-washy, it's a genocide, but all the people resisting against the genocide are also bad and scary because they're Muslim.
Ethan Klein, if you're, clip this. Ethan Klein, if you're watching, spend one day on your Instagram stories, just one day, or like through every other Instagram story about Hassan, post a photo of a starving kid in Gaza, post a video from Hassan, or post a video from a bombing that just happened, and show us what this state of Israel that you claim to think is a free and open place, what Israel is doing. You don't show.
Well, I think he's specifically talking about where he grew up in Israel. And didn't he also like retract and said he didn't mean to run so much? He did so much defense for Israel. He was just talking about how like where he grew up was good.
That on your stories, you don't show that. You just attack people because you have your own gripes. Whatever, you can do that. But at least one story, 2 stories a day, not pro-Israel propaganda. I saw Hila like a post from a pro-Israel propagandist. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, and Matt.
Who?
About the starvation.
That's their favorite. That's their favorite
propaganda. I saw Hila like a post from a pro-Israel propagandist. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, and Matt about the starvation.
That's their favorite.
Yeah. Who's the person? What?
Their favorite content creator.
Post every day. Post a few of them, right? And see what happens from there. Like just do that.
Start peppering in some anti-sentiment, please.
I'm not even saying this vindictively or for any reason other than you have a huge platform of people that could see this, and I think it's framed a lot of times by that.
Fair point. See what's on his story. Going live with this guy. All right, cool. We're going live. No, don't really have.
And if there are any Jewish audience left in his crowd, which I'm sure there are, maybe a few of the ones who are proud tokens to be spent.
I don't understand. Why don't you spend any time on your Instagram posting anything that's pro-Palestinian? Okay. Interesting. Gotcha. Just the occasional anti-Ethan Klein post.
Crowd as like gore porn, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. They're just like, oh, I don't want to see that. Yeah, they said.
Someone said he reposted Hen Mazik like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. Fuck up. Yeah, so at a certain point.
So he's doing the opposite.
At a certain point, with some people, you have to say, you know, appealing to humanity isn't going to work. It's not going to work. And
let's see.
We don't need to spend any time.
This is my first time looking at his fucking stories.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit, that's so many stories, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That's so many stories.
This is not the first time Hassan is looking at his stories. Who the fuck are you kidding? Nobody believes that.
What is this? Does this recognize this individual? I don't know what's going on here.
I think
does anyone recognize this individual from Montreal? My Jewish friend,
the burger guy that was a fighter, Harley Morrison. He went to a concert and people said some anti-Semitic stuff.
The burger guy? Oh, Epic Mealtime. The burger guy. They're so lame.
To him, or they called him something, and then
I don't
something, and then
I don't know who these fucking.
It's like
people
a random
are.
guy that's like an anti-Semite or something, or like some kind of.
Oh, this is like a random. Oh yeah. What is the difference between a fat
random Hassan fan? What?
Kid and a Jew? They both had time. What?
See, like that's an anti-Semite.
I dedicate this.
What's the difference between a fat kid and a Jew? They both have bedtime at camp. That's not funny at all, dude. That's fucked up. I can't believe somebody would say something so horrible.
Wait, I'm mentioned here. I dedicate this comment to Hassan Piker, iDubbbz, and Anissa, who insisted on hallucinating against him. This is a very persistent hallucination.
Oh, that's an anti-Semitic post. Ethan.
I will say, though, that Ethan does not help himself with the way that he interacts with this stuff. I feel like if Ethan, after the whole iDubbbz thing, he really needed to pull back and everything. Like after iDubbbz, he needed to like capitalize on that moment and be like, hey, look, iDubbbz, they're all stupid, and then pull back. But it just seems to be so very consistent. I don't know. It seems like I don't know. I don't know if Ethan cares about optics too much though, so it doesn't really matter. But
you know, that's an anti-Semitic post. What's that got to do with him? What does that got to do with him? When people say you're hallucinating anti-Semitism, it's when you
probably doesn't like me either, dumbass.
Oh, people don't say that. You guys say that over and over again. Try to reinforce the idea of that.
No. One thing I was looking at is like, if you go back through your videos, the only person that's like criticizing Fuentes consistently for the last 6 years is you. And other streamers in this zone are like hanging out with him and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like this anti-Semitism accusation is not borne out by the facts, other than the facts you spin off of a out of context clip.
Hamas, that this person is actually still invested in like the emancipatory needs of Palestinians. This is just not the case. Like this is an incredibly selfish, incredibly self-centered person.
I mean, it's just insane to say you're
like he's just a piker
and only use talking points that propagate the genocide. Whatever he said about Hamas owning the hostages is the line from Israel. The official line. It's the official state-sanctioned, U.S. weapons shipment sanctioned line to justify genocide. Just return the hostages and we'll stop. No, you won't. Of course you won't. That's not true. That's never been true. And they don't want the hostages.
They literally, Hamas has literally set conditions of surrender 1,000,000 times. The last round of fucking ceasefire negotiations, this is just like objectively untrue.
This is misinformation. Like,
okay.
Literally.
Well, what is this that we're having an issue here with? The following video release. Okay, Hamas is doing Israeli propaganda for them since they're trying everything to stop killing. Have they suggested Hamas surrender? People like Hasan, Piker. I mean, Hamas surrender is a good idea. Again, they're not even popular in Palestine. Hamas literally won't surrender unless it's not gonna happen. I mean, I don't understand. Like, what if there was a structure set up where Palestinians got to vote their own people, and Palestinians are not particularly keen on Hamas right now, and Hassan knows that, and it really upset him when he heard that too. So
you are spreading misinformation at the behest of Israel while simultaneously claiming that you're an ally of Palestinians. I don't understand what this man disagrees with Benjamin Netanyahu or with Israel in general. If he's saying that like Hamas is doing Israel's propaganda for them since we're trying everything to stop the killing and we suggested Hamas surrender, are you f***ing stupid? That's literally the number one thing that Israel defenders have been saying since October 9. Hamas has openly stated that they want to, on October 10th, 2023, they said they would release all hostages if Israel doesn't fucking invade the Gaza Strip. Since then, they have put forth more than 40.
Why? Yeah, but like, why wouldn't they invade the Gaza Strip at that point? Like, not for nothing, but I think it's an idiot's idea that like, hey, right after October 7th, Israel should have just backed off. They should have just came. What the fuck? That's insane. You have to be a fucking stupid fuck moron to actually think that that's practical.
40 different proposals where they've talked about a hostage swap for
like, you know that they're not going to take anything right off the bat at all. That would be fucking insane.
Both the prisoners of war that Hamas has currently, which are the remaining hostages, or prisoners of war, they're Israeli military, they're IDF people that they have in captivity still, in exchange for Palestinians that are in administrative detention, 10,000 plus Palestinians that are in administrative detention, 2,000 more of them that Israel has actually kidnapped since October 7th, specifically so they can use them as a fucking bargaining chip. And Hamas has said 1,000,000 times over that they would disband, that they would
aren't they Hamas? What?
Allow the Gaza Strip to be controlled by a technocratic committee over and over and over again.
I can't.
What? They said they would disarm and eventually. They said they would eventually disarm and transition into a political party. So that doesn't get rid of Hamas at all. So what they're saying is a mischaracterization. Here's an AI overview. I don't know how good AI is here, but of what Hamas has consistently presented: permanent ceasefire, and with Israeli withdrawal, Hamas seeks a permanent. Okay, I gotcha. I don't know what Israeli withdrawal looks like, considering, you know, historically Gaza has attacked Israel, but feels like a two-state solution would be good. Hostage prisoner exchange, Hamas proposed, okay, multi-phase exchange. Reconstruction of Gaza, guarantees to end the war, return the displaced Gazans. Hamas seeks the safe return of Palestinians and their children to their homes within Gaza. Increase humanitarian aid, end of the occupation, release of high-profile prisoners. Israeli authorities rejected these demands, particularly the requirement of a complete withdrawal and a permanent secession of hostages before achieving their stated objective of destroying Hamas. Negotiations have been complex and frequently stated. I mean, I don't know, man. These seem like reasonable demands, but then again, Hamas is a fucking violent institution, and them wanting to transition to a political party, I don't really see that necessarily happening. I don't really see how this ends unless there is some kind of a two-state solution where the allies of both, like Palestine and Israel, facilitate a border for like a decade or so. I really don't know how you would possibly do this at all. It doesn't. I don't know that letting Hamas have their own political party right now, considering their hatred for Israel, is particularly productive. I mean, how consistently has Hamas attacked Israel over the, like, you know, how consistently do they attack Israel? And I understand that there's a reason for it, and it's because like Israel occupies them in some capacity and like walls them off. But it's like a very complex situation. I just don't see that. I don't know if I see that happening.
I came in with the intention today to try and avoid talking about people like this. But when we got
no, you didn't. That's exactly what you were doing the whole time.
Slop tubers.
Oh, true. I am Israel's #1 defender. Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah. I mean, specifically, I guess, yeah. He's
Israel #1 defender. Okay.
One of the slop tubers, and we can. I don't know. It's just like, I think before talking about it, just establishing the fact that like there's a focus, a hyperfixation from that community, but also from people that are pro-Palestine on what these people are saying and doing, and what they're not saying and doing. And when they spread propaganda, that should be focused on, but it needs to be placed in the bigger context of what's happening, rather than just this guy's a fucking Zionist freak that's supporting a genocide. It's like, he is, but so is the U.S. government, and so is like a lot of the public, and that's the problem. He is not the problem. His actions are the result of this broader system. But when he says shit, like, when he's doing propaganda, like, honestly, we should talk about it.
But when someone says like, I'm a stalwart ally of Palestinians,
that's the big thing, right?
That makes me so fucking mad, because it's like, I'm a stalwart ally of Palestinians. I spend every waking moment attacking other pro-Palestine content creators, demanding that they get deplatformed, sue them for fucking ridiculous shit, try to silence them over and over again.
Well, he's not suing for ridiculous shit. I will say that the one criticism that probably kind of sticks is that, like, yeah, and they're probably just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what will stick as far as what they can criticize Ethan for. But it's like, yeah, the idea that, like, you know, what is like, if Ethan really should spend more time being productively, like, a productive advocate of Palestine, and maybe he does, and I just don't see it, but that would probably be helpful rather than just constantly attacking Hassan. I'm not saying don't attack Hassan. I'm just saying.
In every waking moment, having my sizable audience fucking attack them, no matter where they are, literally spam like fucking media hits that they do, and try to get them to be deplatformed, or at least like have be blackballed. Basically, it's not even working, but it doesn't matter. And then on top of that, I just, you know, say the exact same shit that Benjamin Netanyahu is saying when it comes to, oh, it's actually Hamas. It's actually Hamas that's responsible for the starvation of Palestinians. Okay, well then what's the difference between you and Benjamin Netanyahu in this regard? You are saying the exact same shit that he's saying.
And it's not like the
well, it's Hamas and Netanyahu, but like, yeah, I don't know how often he criticizes Netanyahu in his Instagram stories, but again, he's responding to you, not like doing his own stuff, so he's not going to be able to have his balance of a take, because all he does is like talk about Hassan, which is not helping him when it comes to his way that he looks optically.
Hitler drank water argument, right? Where it's like these things you're doing are unrelated and the comparison isn't unrelated. The talking point and the propaganda you are saying is the exact same propaganda that's being used to justify the genocide. They're not unrelated. And when the propaganda you're using is used in service to attack pro-Palestine advocates, then you're doing exactly what the state of Israel is doing in committing a genocide. You're running cover for it. You're propaganda. You're normalizing it for millions of people on the internet. And that's, you know.
Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to say about Ethan was like he kept promoting the Gaza Holocaust Front, the GHF, over and over again. Again, also fucking invoking my name for some weird goddamn reason. And then as recently as like last week, when everyone was talking about Israel's starvation, he was like, well, what about Sudan? Why is nobody talking about Sudan? He's literally doing Hasbro while simultaneously saying he thinks Israel's committing a genocide sometimes. He says that.
It's funny because he's reading his chat, but what is the Gaza Holocaust Front? I don't know what that is. Is this an institution? I can't find any institution called the Gaza Holocaust Front. It just seems to be something that draws comparisons between Holocaust and what's happening in Gaza. I don't.
The GHF over and over again. Again, also fucking invoking my name for some weird goddamn reason. And then as recently as like last week, when everyone was talking about Israel's starvation, he was like, well, what about Sudan? Why is nobody talking about Sudan? He's literally doing Hasbro while simultaneously saying he thinks Israel's committing a genocide sometimes.
How come he doesn't show? How come Noah shows everything else, but he's not showing a clip of that? I'd like to see that, but just where did he say that about Sudan? I don't even know what to look up. I don't even know. We have to take their word for it, I guess. These really credible creators. All right.
He says that sometimes.
If you guys have something that you could say, I don't know. It sounds like what you just told me, that Ethan it compares the Holocaust to what's happening in Gaza, but then also complains about other oppressions too. It doesn't even sound like you're criticizing him. It sounds like you want that to sound like a criticism, but it just doesn't come off as one. I don't understand.
So stupid, actually. That's just a very dumb guy perspective to say not talking about something means that you don't care about the thing that you're talking about. That's just not a real thing. But I mean, again, it's
incredibly.
I hate to be dismissive of the propaganda because it is, but it's like, okay, it's
incredibly stupid propaganda. But unfortunately, it does work for some people, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's so goddamn frustrating because people, I think, just want to feel that their favorite content creator is not like a bad person. And there is nothing more bad person coded than to defend Israel's ongoing genocide. Okay?
I gotta get that.
Didn't you just say that he supports the comparison between the Holocaust and Gaza? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense.
My mate outfit. We're redoing the podcast.
How the fuck do I get off the ship?
We did.
And he uses like this Palestinian ancestry to grift as like a pro-Israel Palestinian. Post October 7th, he like monetized his Twitter account and started like grifting as like, I'm a Palestinian, but I'm pro-Israel. And like, you know, this got him opportunities that he otherwise never would have gotten, like writing op-eds and stuff in the Atlantic and stuff like that. You know, the generic like, or sort of grift, the collaborator grift, where someone weaponizes trace amounts of ancestry. You know, it's like if there was a conflict between Turkey and Greece, and I started saying like, I have Greek ancestry. Here's why Turkey should genocide all the Greeks. You know, it's kind of like that. So if you want like more context on this guy that I'm not gonna be able to give you here, because it's just a short clip covering something that happened with him recently, I have a debate with him on my main channel where I totally exposed him as being just a pro-Israel shill. And then I also covered him in this video, the token Palestinian industry, about 11 to 12 minutes in. So check those out. So John has recently been noticing that the tide is now turning against like Zionism and pro-Israel shills like himself. And I think he's realized.
What do you mean the tide has been turning? It's, if anything, people are unfortunately caring less. What are you talking about? Like what's going on over there? What do you mean?
That he's not going to be able to keep up like this grift forever, right? You can't like trade off you being the token Palestinian for an Israeli genocide. At this point, like this is the offloading point where a lot of these grifters are going to like realize that this is not a sustainable long-term career path, and they're going to have to transition into like broader things or try to make themselves like viable in a broader sense. And one of the ways that they
for them, it's for the Yemeni guy. That's another guy who like hates me, because all of these guys like they're so clearly invested in like preaching to a Western audience that Luai Ahmed, that they like focus their energy on someone like myself. Why would they do that? If you are a guy who is of Yemeni background or a Palestinian background, and Israel is like slaughtering your family members, like you should never even for a moment think about like pro-Palestinian college campus activists or pro-Palestinian content creators, right?
Why? Well, that fundamentally sounds, what you're saying, it sounds stupid as fuck, right? Like if you're concerned with what's going on over there and you live in a Western country where we give tremendous amounts of support to Israel, and you see people using that in America as a justification to be hateful to Jewish people, why wouldn't you want to counter the radicalization that potentially causes people to tune out of the pro-Palestinian argument? Because I guarantee you there's people that are like, will hear what Hassan has to say and they go like, oh, this is ridiculous. This is too like extreme. I don't care to protest against what Israel's doing anymore. What are you talking about?
The only reason why you would care about that is if your role here is a unique one where you are supposed to talk specifically, like directly to white liberals and white conservatives in America that care about that shit. You know what I mean?
It's like, see, this guy from Yemen loves Israel. So
yeah.
You just got owned. So that's crazy.
So what I saw with like that Luai Ahmed guy, basically, because like they're now that the situation is undeniable by even more people, they're moving into like the right wing content grift, and I think that's probably what these guys are going to do. But we'll get into it after we watch this.
What we're trying to do that is by
Ethan. You think Ethan's going to turn into the right wing content grift? Didn't he just like also talk to the Nelk boys about how fucking stupid they were? Or am I dumb? Was it not Ethan? I don't know.
Disowning what they have previously said about the Gaza genocide and being like, oh, I didn't see this coming. What's happening here? What? It's a genocide? They're starving them? Oh, damn, I was fooled. Crap. And now they might try to like rebrand as like enlightened centrist grifters, or like even maybe pro-Palestinian grifters in the future, because they want to keep the money flowing in from their Twitter monetization. They want to keep getting like op-ed opportunities in major media outlets.
Twitter monetization, what the fuck?
Like, it's one thing for someone to realize they were wrong and then actively work towards helping alleviate the problem, which is a genocide. It's another thing entirely to use this as a way to boost a media career. And I think with a lot of these people that are going to change their mind and try to...
That's all you talk about is Ethan Klein. Isn't that what you're doing? Just in like a different way? What? You found your niche. What is he talking about?
Reposition. We got to remember, we got to keep a very close record of what they said while it was happening and not let them do that. They'll try, but there should be a continuous effort to say, no. On October 10th, you started justifying what Israel's doing. You started weaponizing your identity to run cover for Israel and blame everything Israel's doing on Hamas, which is exactly what Israel's doing.
Or college protesters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what you were focused on during this.
I think the only way that these grifters can ever do something that is redeemable is if they detail and identify exactly how they were paid.
Yes.
And basically out this entire pervasive influence network and work as a whistleblower.
Yeah.
Like, that is the maximum impact that you could have. If you are...
I love it. I love that everybody who disagrees with Hassan is just somebody who they're just paid by Israel. That's what he's saying.
One of these people, and you've gotten your bread buttered all along. The only way that you can fucking change the tide, the only way that you can salvage what remains of your morality is to basically fucking snitch on all of the people that have been like, hey, this is a good article to write. Okay, here's some money for you.
It's like breaking the silence, right?
This is so ridiculous. Holy fuck, what a freak.
Someone like Klein. She served in the IDF. She could be talking about what happened, talking about the raid she went on in specific detail where they kidnapped a Palestinian man from his home in the occupied West Bank. She could talk about that and talk about how it's wrong. That's what she would do if she hasn't even said this, but if Ethan and her were actually pro-Palestine, they would try to use that position. But until that point, oh, you're just a terrorist. You're an actual terrorist. Like, by her husband's own logic, she's a terrorist that has never repented and done anything, not even in...
I like how he had to like speak carefully. You're a terrorist. I mean, by your husband's own logic, you're a terrorist. It's not my logic. You know, you like that? He's fucking sweating, boy.
Vindictive way, but in a, like, you have sway over people's opinions, and if you come out and say, this is what happened...
I can generally agree, I guess, with the sentiment that like if they're going to talk about it and they're going to talk about Hassan, that I guess Ethan should be more adamant about being anti. He should talk about these things more often than just when it's in relation to Hassan. So like for sure, I can appreciate that perspective for sure.
this is how it's happening still to this day, and this is how it, relates to the Gaza genocide. That would be a good thing, but that's the only way. That's the only way.
Yeah, the thing is, like, people will be like, oh, well, you knew Ethan had lived in Israel. Like, that's what people say to me sometimes, right? Like, yeah, or even Ethan himself has actually, I think, brought this up to be like, oh, Hassan knew I lived in Israel, or, knew that he served in the IDF or whatever. Yeah, I never have this automatic assumption that someone that's like now living in America is going to be like super pro fucking Israel. That's not my assumption at all. I meet plenty of people like, yeah, sorry, I'm not
super pro Israel.
Not fucking the anti-Semite that you want me to be.
Yeah.
It's so strange, especially because like I always thought that he was like right at the edge of liberal Zionism and could have been someone who could be convinced.
Yeah,
because of like his past statements about like what Israel was doing and stuff like that.
There was that moment like in the
yeah. I wonder if you just defended him from your audience. I was calling him a baby murderer. When the only like that's it, when there was like almost no difference in like your takes with both the takes that you guys had. I wonder if you just like maybe did something more to stop that happening. Incredible.
Podcast like right after October 7th where he was like crying about seeing a footage of a dad holding his daughter that had been killed by Israel. And that didn't stick, obviously.
It didn't stick, obviously. None of that stuck. That's the same time where Hassan's audience was bullying him, being a baby killer. Why? Because he was like, yeah, some people interpret from the Road to the Sea as an anti-Semitic dog whistle, and I don't think Ethan thought it was himself. But hey, you know what? A good call on just completely disavowing him, Hassan.
No. There were signs that showed that potentially someone could be like rehabilitated or whatever.
Yeah, right? I thought that he like recognized the humanity of Palestinians in that moment. And maybe he did genuinely recognize the humanity of the Palestinians in that moment and just forgot about it. I don't know. But once again, people going, he had a whole N-word compilation. Come on now, guys. This is not about like being right all along.
Slop brain. That's
okay, you're doing that thing. Brain. We're not talking about that. I know. I knew that he had said fucking horrible shit in the past. I thought that because I have this idea that like people.
Haven't you? Did you have like a whole red pill fucking college meme bro thing?
People have the capacity to change, and people can genuinely
become like how you talk to the Nelk Boys, right?
Become better versions of themselves.
Boys, you are willing to have a conversation with someone. When you talk to the Nelk Boys about their interview with Netanyahu, that was a genuinely very good thing, and you could tell that they were receptive, at least to some extent, of what you were saying about how they platformed a war criminal and let him do propaganda.
I do think that like aggressive negative backlash also helps though, because I think that was probably more helpful in getting the Nelk Boys to like change trajectory,
absolutely,
and have like the Boss and Musa podcast on.
Yeah. So even it's different in some ways, but just your approach generally.
Dude, I think prior to the Benjamin Netanyahu interview, the Nelk Boys have done less pro-Israel propaganda than Ethan, with the exception of like literally going to Israel and doing a pro-Israel propaganda before October 7th.
100%.
Like that's the difference. Like this man has spent every waking moment shitting on pro-Palestinian voices and constantly fucking repackaging like the same kind of propaganda that Benjamin Netanyahu ironically deployed on the Nelk Boys podcast. That's the difference here.
I don't know, man. This is okay.
The same principle behind like Bernie Sanders. It's disappointing, and it definitely caused me to see him in a different light. That he like still holds on to this liberal Zionist position this far in. When and this is a conversation I had with Noah Culwin before on the broadcast, where he is like an incredibly prominent, the most.
So what the issue that he has with Bernie Sanders is Bernie says that Israel has the right to exist, and that we shouldn't focus on whether or not it's considered technically a genocide, because what's happening is disgusting in Gaza and it's a humanitarian issue. And that's not far left enough for Hassan, just to be clear.
Beloved Jewish political figure in America, and who was always who has never shied away from demonstrating radical politics and saying the truth. For him to at this stage still consistently, not Chuck Schumer, I said beloved chatter. What are you talking about? I'm saying like a popular politician who has run for the presidency and has openly floated the idea of like denying weapons transfers to Israel in 2016. That was a radical proposition in 2016 for many Americans. And the fact that a Jewish man was saying that was huge for many Americans. And in this time,
so what's your issue specifically with Bernie Sanders?
Place like Bernie should not be still promoting liberal Zionism and liberal Zionist talking points.
Not calling it genocide.
Okay, yeah, so he won't explain Bernie Sanders' take. It's for a reason. I wish I could find the clip, but it's Hassan melting down because Bernie, it's what I just said, like Bernie thinks Israel has a right to exist, but now he's a war criminal. That's literally it. And if that's too far left for you, or is that not far enough left for you, you're fucking stupid as fuck.
Israel has a right to defend itself. Hamas started this on October 7th. These are ahistorical and also just incorrect interpretations of this conflict. And
he is unfortunately doing this like weird form of genocide denial, where he says it doesn't matter what we call it, it's bad. It's like, well,
but the point.
Well, it's because I think the technical legal definition, depending, I guess, on like where you look, it doesn't necessarily say it's a genocide. That's why he's saying it doesn't matter. This is like optically the smartest way to operate. It doesn't matter if it is or isn't legally or technically a genocide. What's happening is disgusting. That's smart, because then we don't get caught up in like, well, is it or is it not a genocide? And it's just, you get into these unnecessary conversations that are unproductive, right? Like instead, let's just focus on like what's happening. It's fucking disgusting what's happening. Oh, okay, cool. That's pretty much it.
And I was trying to make with Bernie is that like Bernie doesn't get in the way of other people who are past him on this issue. Okay, he doesn't shy away from endorsing candidates and politics like Zohran or even Abdul al-Sayed in Michigan who are anti-Zionist, right? He does not shy away from that at all. Whereas someone like Ethan Klein straight up will, similar to Brad Lander, exactly. Brad Lander is another good example of this as well. Brad Lander has done even more than that, right? But having said that, there are other people out there who are doing propaganda for Israel and have not shied away from consistently doing propaganda for Israel, even if it's at great harm to their social standing, which is something that they care about, right? And that's what's crazy to me. That is what's actually fucking insane in this situation. Is like, you are so ride or die that you're still willing to do this thing that even your own fan base at this point is going to recognize is ridiculous.
Yeah, all out of spite.
Okay. Yeah, I understand what he's saying, though. The problem is that, you know, people who are farther left on Israel-Palestine than Bernie, they're not sending him human skulls. I don't know if you guys know this. So that could potentially at least slightly explain why that could potentially slightly explain what do you think, why Ethan maybe is like, wait a minute, these guys are fucking crazy. You're right, that might be able to explain some of it.
All out of a personal event.
Because, like, again, you guys are harassing the fuck out of Ethan and his family. It's not him explicitly, but it's you guys. It really is. Like, it's the Hassan orbit. He lets other people do this in his stead. And then he goes, oh, why are you so upset? Just because people are sending you fucking human skulls? Like, that's fucking cringe. It's like, oh, great. Like, we're doing really well here.
Vendetta, and obviously, you know, Zionist propagandizing from living there and being married to an IDF terrorist. Like, all these things coalesce in this thing where you're causing harm, but
Jesus
enough people
Christ.
are aware of what's happening that it's a losing fight, and that's why I'm curious to see what'll happen, because it's like, this is one of the most egotistical people that I've ever seen, like
Crazy.
as a public figure on the internet or whatever. So being able to admit that you were wrong about a genocide and admit that you were propagandizing for it, it's not going to happen. It's just not. And that's, I mean, to a certain extent, like you're saying, someone like Bernie, you know, you're not going to stand in his way. Just like you'll criticize him when it's necessary, but you're not going to stand in his way, just like he has, because he hasn't stood in the way of a lot of like activists and what's happening in the same way that a lot of Democratic politicians are. At a certain point with someone like you just cut your losses and say, okay, we'll just like kind of farm this guy to raise awareness for the genocide and educate people for the genocide. And that's like, I really appreciate about like Bad and Panada, Overzealots, Chris Kunzler, and all these people that are doing this really good work. At the end of the day, it's like not about us. It's not about me and you. It's not about content creators. It's not about anything that we feel about anyone.
I think he might have actually like deluded himself into thinking that what he's doing is like not fucking unhinged shit. But you know what? God bless him. Am I right, guys? God bless him.
Or anything a politician feels about what's happening, it's about the material action and what's happening right now.
Ethan says he likes Zoran. Does he? Zoran? I don't really know anything about him, but I feel like might as well do something fucking new. Am I right? It's like, Jesus Christ.
What we can do to stop it. And, you know, there's that quote from this poet, I forget her name, but whatever you can do, throw sand in the gears of genocide. Like, however much sand you can throw, even if it's just a little bit in your nail, whatever you can do means for you personally something different for everybody. You know,
for you, it means to go after fucking Ethan Klein. Okay.
I think my favorite form of it, and the most effective, at least for like my channel stuff, is just farming people like that don't want to change. And if they don't, then
the most effective for my channel has been farming people like Ethan Klein. Okay. All right. I think the cope has hit 100%.
Identify that.
I don't know, man. I feel like this shit's fucking so stupid.
And you move on and you use that to try and do something.
At this point, if you're still watching H3 and he spends an insane amount of time just like shitting on pro-Palestinian content creators and like regularly doing pro-Israel propaganda, you're not just like watching a regular fucking, you know, goofs and gaffs show. You're
it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, you're consuming fuck Palestine, fuck pro-Palestinian people propaganda. Crazy. That's what you're doing.
I'm pretty sure at this point that I really do think that this is kind of the defining moment here where we realize that Ethan has had a profound impact on Hassan in a way that is so frustrating that Hassan feels the need to play this game where Ethan is more than he actually is. And what Ethan is he's a fucking Jewish guy. He's an Israeli Jewish guy that thinks that the people in Israel are good, but the government is genocidal and Netanyahu's a war criminal. That's all he is. He's a fucking drama creator who thinks the Israeli people are cool because he is one, and that Netanyahu's a fucking war criminal. That's it. And we've somehow created this fantasy where he's so much more than that because I guess we're just trying to put like a target on his back to make him seem like the worst person in the world, more than just some fucking petty, just some petty fuck. Which I guess has been working because, you know, Hassan and his audience have called CPS on Ethan Klein, sent them human skulls. So, I mean, I guess it's effective, but funny enough, that's why he keeps talking about Hassan and his crew, because they keep harassing him. They'll like the fucking freak on the screen is somebody who takes credit for CPS being called on Ethan's kids. He's the one that was like pushing this whole idea that Ethan's kids roll around in shit without any evidence. I don't. You know, so I don't know, man. Maybe that's why he keeps talking about you, because you highlight people like this who are a legitimate threat to his family. I don't know, but maybe I'm just really fucking stupid. Who knows?
You are also, without recognizing it, slowly but surely, most likely changing your own political perspective, because he's drip feeding right-wing sentiment and pro-genocide positions, beaming it directly into your fucking mind.
Dude, he's radicalizing them. That's the big thing that they get you for, is saying that you radicalize people into like crazy left tanky stuff that's not the good kind of leftism, which is liberalism, which is fascism when it comes to Israel. Like 50 Instagram stories a day. That's like already laying the groundwork for some crazy shit to happen. 50 concerted Instagram stories about specific people and, you know, character.
I mean, I truly don't understand why Ethan spends all day obsessing about Hassan. Like it does make him look like, it's like, I understand talking about him on your show and talking about those instances on your show, but like, I really don't understand the whole, like, I really don't understand why you're on Instagram all day talking about it. I don't know. That seems like it does come off. It's just strange to me. Like, I know that you fucking hate the guy. He's a piece of dog shit. I just feel like it's be more productive usage of your time. Hang out with your family and just chill. Get off your phone. Maybe he just pays somebody to send him this stuff, though, so that he can put it up on his story. Maybe he doesn't even do it himself. Maybe he's paid a guy to do that for him. I have no fucking idea.
Pro-Palestine activists as terrorists, but then combining that with like a 4-hour show where, like, I was gonna say that if you watch it, I've watched a little bit of it recently. Wait, no, I know you haven't. That's good. But the way the vibes are fucked. The vibes of that show are fucked. It's just a guy like kind of sitting there being like all worked up and angry about everyone and bringing up names of people to call them terrorists and like having to have his wife get him to stop calling people bitch because he's just calling the women he's suing bitch.
What are we talking about? Oh, it's Ethan, I guess.
And like all this stuff where it's like an angry guy surrounded by a bunch of yes men, and I don't know, like if you're still into that because they do goofs and gaffs in between, which they barely do, that's just like, oh yeah, you're at some point you're in it for the Zionism, or you're in it for the, I don't know, you're in it for the content and you're in it for the Hassan battle.
But the content that you're getting out of that is just like it's going to fuck your real world relationships as well. Because like I sometimes like I'll see this on Twitter or on Reddit where someone will be like, I don't really understand. Are these people like Hassan snarkers? And they're like, they'll literally be talking about like a person who doesn't know who the fuck I am, who just has the same position that I have, because many more people
What the fuck are you talking about?
Are finally coming to this fucking conclusion. I didn't like break their brains into believing that Israel was committing a genocide. Israel made people recognize that it is
Well, didn't Ethan also say Israel's committing a genocide?
Absolutely invested in committing a genocide by killing children every day. Okay.
Terrible.
So if you think you're like pro-Palestine because your favorite content creator says he is, and then you just like repeat the shit that he's saying, most people in the real world are gonna look at you and be like, what the fuck? What? You're fucking, I think you're pro-Israel. That's gonna start ruining your real world relationships, your real life relationships.
Like, my wife
all right, I guess. I don't know.
Keeps calling me a snarker, and I don't get why she doesn't know, like shit like that, where it's like, what, you're using a term that basically just means, it functionally means the same thing as terrorist, which means bad guy, and everyone that doesn't like me or criticizes me and my favorite content creator is a snarker or a terrorist or a bad guy, and everyone that likes him is like, I like that.
Get out of
my wife left me because I like H3 and I watch it all the time, and I like every time I see Hassan's face,
what the fuck are you talking about? What fantasy story are we referring to here?
Foaming at the mouth and my like legs break from rage or whatever. It's like, this seems wild. I don't know. This seems like an unhealthy exchange.
That's not good, man. I don't know how else to describe it. That's just not good for you. That's not good for your mentality.
But then combine that with the fact that your brain is now full of pro-Israel.
My wife left me because I watch Ethan Klein. Incredible.
Points, and you come out of your little like echo chamber to talk to someone, like the thing comes up, and then you're doing propaganda, and they're like, we all know it's a genocide. You're just in this little space that calls it a genocide, but doesn't actually act in a manner that would show that they believe that, or acts in a manner that actively.
Yeah, I know. I fucking hate the people who call it a genocide, but then they don't do things like actively vote for Kamala Harris, who would have been better for Gaza, and instead sit here and say that they would do the exact same thing. That's what bothers me, I think, the most about these performative scum fucking pieces of dog shit. You know, I'm with you guys. I agree with you guys. I agree.
Disputes that claim or denies it, you're an insane person, and they should be shunned. They should not be allowed to be the local dog catcher, as you said, because that's insane. But you just
said anybody that has any positive sentiment for Israel shouldn't. He's fucking insane, dude. Knock it off with this whole Hassan. They're trying to change it. They're trying to make it seem like Hassan didn't say literally anybody that's ever had any pro-Israeli sentiment at any time is a Nazi. That's what he said. Okay, just to be clear. And also, it's okay to be like, oh, I think Israel can exist. Like, that's okay. That's okay to think that they can exist. It's fucking ridiculous.
One day, once they're out of it, it's kind of like having a relative that's an addict or whatever. You're like, yeah, this shit's not going good for you, and it's kind of, you're hurting everyone in your life, and it's really unfortunate. But I'd like
glad you're getting better.
Yeah. We should open a rehab center. Ethan Klein, a Zionism rehab center, something like that.
And how can they do that except by rebranding? Because the tide is turning. The genocide is only getting more and more obvious and undeniable with time. So if they want to keep the cash flowing in, they want to keep like their like totally unmeritorious like op-ed writing career going. There's going to be a lot of other people having this about face. Like Lonerbox has been doing this recently as well. Though he's worse than John Aziz still. Make no mistake. Loner's prediction for Israel's aid plan came true immediately. Unacceptable. Look at that.
It's funny because he's like crafted such.
Oh, I see. So what? Okay, I see what's happening. Okay. So I totally understand what's happening. Okay. So basically, what's happening here is that what they're saying is that the people like Lonerbox who are trying to read the story where it's at are bad because that's now a change in the story. I guess I don't really know what they're trying to make it seem like because Lonerbox said something that would not be purely pro-Israel because he's trying to be impartial on the topic. He must be trying to change his content strategy and grift now. That's what it is. Okay, incredible.
Such a Zionist audience.
I wonder how long this type of like just kind of idiot speak is going to work for,
Videos don't do well, I suspect, as opposed to like...
I bet the comments are a mess.
Yeah, they're like, what? What are you saying? Israel's not number one? What are you saying? Israel number one! Fuck!
Is that what you heard? Why don't you just click on the video and look and see what the comments are like on his video, right? Wouldn't that be a good idea? What? Bro, this video is 2 months old that they're referring to. Never thought we could have a genocide happen under our own government's approval, yet here we are. Getting aid to those civilians in a safe way is crucial. What can we do about that? Imagine if the Israelis were only giving them Sabra hummus. Hamas is now being challenged by counterinsurgency. I forget the name of the group. Hamas is losing control. Okay, it was signed from the start. Nobody's pushing back on him. This one, Lonerbox has harvested some of the worst debate bro audience. I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't think one aid station experiencing issues for a few hours one time is anywhere near the grounds to condemn the plan or treat it as a failure. It sounds like he's predicting that Israel's, and I don't know all the details, but basically the issue is like whatever Israel's new aid plan is having negative impacts on the infrastructure. You can't say the plan is bad. I was suggesting a better one. How about the plan that was there before? I think it was predictable there would be problems, but Israel really doesn't have a choice here. They need to stick with it and hope it can build and be better. Sauces. I mean, it seems like it's somewhat contentious, but not like a huge deal. This guy says he has integrity on his opinions, and he's also a cat, so that's cool. So one instance of an overrun, it allows you to constitute as a failure? Okay. I don't really see this as like his entire audience is turning against him. He's a content creator who posts stuff, and he happens to have an opinion that disagrees with people. I have that as well sometimes. Like, it just is what it is. I don't think that this is like this huge fucking change in his audience, like dynamic or whatever. That's like they don't support him anymore or something, or whatever the fuck he's trying to say. But okay.
You hate Israel? Do you not love Israel? He was mad at his own chat, calling him anti-Semitic. I wonder why you have cultivated such a community that would consider any criticism towards Israel to be anti-Semitic. I wonder how that happened.
Dude, no. That's weird that he's... Why wouldn't he just not say these things? I don't understand.
Oh, this guy said... What did he call it? He called a one-state solution anti-Semitic?
He said something along the lines of like,
a one-state solution is stupid and destructive for everybody involved.
If all Jews are pro-Israel, right, then if all Jews are pro-genocide of Palestinians, you're anti-Semitic for being against the genocide of Palestinians. And I was like, yeah, okay.
So he slipped up and said it the right way the first time. But if all, like, they're... Sorry.
He said, what did he call it? He called a one-state solution anti-Semitic?
He said something along the lines of, like, if all Jews are pro-Israel, right, then if all Jews are pro-genocide of Palestinians, you're...
So he actually said if all Jews are pro-Israel. So what he's referring to is when Hassan said that anyone that's ever had a pro-Israeli sentiment. So people who just live there and think that it's a cool place to be, those people are Nazis. So just to be clear, Hassan is reframing this.
You're anti-Semitic for being against the genocide of Palestinians. And I was like, yeah, okay.
I found the tweet where he does this. Somebody wrote, if the majority of Jews favored killing and displacing all the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, and I said that is a fascist position. You're saying that would make me anti-Semitic? And then this guy responded, might have to think more about it, but you probably would be. If the majority of Jews seriously wanted to kill and displace 5 million people, it would be justified to think that there's something wrong with them. Unless you think you...
What? Is this real? This would be fucking... Hold on a second.
Can hate most Jews without being a Jew hater.
That's such a fucking...
Hold on a second. This is such a stupid fucking debate brain tweet from Lonerbox. Does he explain it? What's his explanation? There's no way. So what I'm seeing here, so first of all, this insinuation that Israel wants to kill, or people in Israel want all people in Gaza and West Bank to die, is stupid. That's what you'd say. You say this hypothetical is unrealistic because it's not true. But then the response is like such a debate bro response. It's like, well, I haven't thought about it. I guess in a world where if all Israelis hated and wanted 5 million people to die, I guess we'd have to consider that. No, we don't. This is such a stupid fucking thing. I think Loaderbox's point was that in this hypothetical, anti-Semitism would be justified. Oh, is that what he's saying? Might have to think about it, but you probably would be. If the majority of Jews seriously want to kill 5 million people, it would be justified to think there's something wrong with them. Oh, who is them? Unless you think you can hate most Jews without being a Jew. Oh, okay. I guess it depends on what you think them means. Because here's how I'm reading it, okay? Might have to think about it, blah, blah, blah. But you probably would be. If the majority of Jews seriously want to kill plus 5 million people, it would be justified to think there was something wrong with them. I'm thinking that in this scenario, the them is referring to the 5 million people, saying like, oh, I guess if the Jews wanted to kill all these people, then the people that they want to kill must be bad. But I think what Loaderbox maybe is saying is if the Jews want to kill all 5 million of these people, it would be justified to hate them, but that would still be anti-Semitic, I guess. I don't know. This is just such a debate bro tweet. Okay, yeah. It's still such a debate bro tweet. And so like, why make it? Stop being on Twitter. Listen, here's my active call to all content creators out there. Stop fucking using Twitter. Stop it. Stop sitting on Twitter. All the time that you're spending fucking sitting on Twitter, the hours a day, you could be putting out like clips for your content to make it more widespread. Stop wanting a Twitter audience. I don't know, especially like Loaderbox. Why would you want a Twitter audience exclusively? Like, try to get some people from TikTok or something. You know what I mean? It's just fucking silly. He clarified with Trotch. Yeah, it's still a stupid thing to say because optically it just looks so bad. And what did he get? What did he get out of it? 2,000 views? Like, was it even worth it? What did you get out of it? Do you feel like you got more viewership? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, it's easier to speak more clearly when you're talking on your stream. There's more productive uses of your time, dude.
It would be justified to think that there's something wrong with them, unless you think you can hate most Jews without being a Jew hater.
That's such a fucking stupid argument. What do you think? Like,
if that's anti-Semitism, the word doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
then being Jewish is being pro-genocide. That's what that means. And it's like, that's anti-Semitic.
Which is incredibly anti-Semitic. It is such a fucking stupid argument that you could only put together if you just think like Jews are magical, mystical people or something. Like, what the fuck do you mean?
You're allowed to do that.
Contemplative thumbnail. Unacceptable. Oh my God, Israeli policy didn't work. Giving aid to Palestinians in Gaza? No one could have ever seen that coming. It's almost like it's not intended to help them, but it's like, oh man, Israel really effed up. They took a big L here with this bad policy. They were genuinely trying to, like in good faith, trying to implement a policy to help people in Gaza, right? That's the sort of thing that he's going for. And he's like, oh man.
Well, it's not. If you kind of like skim through it, obviously, it is more. He thinks that it's a failure and needs to be changed. I don't think he ever thought it was well-meaning, but okay.
I'm just critiquing them. This is
everyone has something to say about ContraPoints.
The guy who would like critique the amount of rations.
They're misunderstanding what he said. Yeah, they are. I don't know if they're doing it maliciously or not. It doesn't really, but even I misunderstood it at first because it's hard to understand. Like, it's phrased in a way that's, encourages misunderstanding, even if it's unintentional.
In the death camps, rather than just denounce the Nazis for having death camps. That's who he is. These people are going to be trying to dial back and whitewash what they have been saying this entire time. Think about it.
Loaderbox is my favorite Marxist. You should listen to him sometimes, brother. I bought my wife a Teddy Fresh hoodie yesterday. Long story short, we're getting a divorce, and I'm ashamed to say I was married to an anti-Semite for 10 years.
True, it's anti-Semitic to not.
Don't let them off the hook. As they realize that what they're doing doesn't sell anymore.
He did say that. He did that with Vanilla Maze. And this was before I even met Vanilla Maze. Vanilla Maze literally was like, Teddy Fresh tried to send me like a PR poll, and she was like, yeah, that's gross. I don't want that. And he straight up was like, she's an anti-Semite. If you don't wear my adult baby clothes, you are a fucking anti-Semite, dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she wasn't even talking about like Zionism.
I don't remember the specifics, but I remember there was more to it than just that. But I don't feel the need to re-educate myself on stupid drama slop, which is, again, what Hassan's entire thing is focused on. Me too. That's not the type of drama stuff I care about. I don't really care about Vanilla Mace. It's just that Hassan likes to pretend he's a serious political streamer when he's not.
And by the way, she just said the clothes are ugly. That's it. I think the saddest part for many of these people is, I don't know about Loaderbox, but like a lot of them are not even paid by Israel to do this. Yeah. They're literally doing this because they just backed the wrong horse. Some of this does go back to Destiny because these guys are like his dick riders, right? His orbiters. They call themselves that. And basically after October 7, this fucking moron who is a horrible deadbeat dad and a sex pest decided, Hassan is pro-Palestine, I'm pro-genocide. And he just came out of the gate swinging with that statement and then had to basically engage in the...
I don't think Destiny decided to be pro-Israel because of to hate out of spite for you. But I mean, I guess it's possible. Who knows?
Worst ad hoc rationalizations I've ever seen. And he had the audacity to do this in real time, basically documenting every step he took, and all of his fucking dumbass orbiters that aren't even getting paid by the state of Israel.
They're doing it for free because they are part of the orbit.
Yeah, but it's
and then they
crazy.
join in on the propaganda.
It's crazy. At least like you could have gotten some benefits out of this, man. You just are doing this for
I think
free.
he might have got a free trip, but like
free trip to Israel.
Yeah, great, super good, super
great.
awesome. I got to hang out with Elon Levy. That's I got the best thing ever.
I got a free trip to Israel, and what is it? Here's a link to the vanilla thing. Oh, I think this
hit me up today on Instagram, Teddy Fresh. They said, hey, we'd love to send you some stuff. How about?
This is incredibly anti-Semitic. Please don't watch this.
Yeah, they're going, fuck no. Her chat's going, no way. Oh, hell no.
Sorry, I don't know. Do I need like media training now that I'm like, have more people in here? How about?
How
about? Oh, brother, this guy stinks. You out of your freaking mind?
Bro, it's so fucking over. 1.5 million likes on this, dude.
Really? Yeah, it's over. I've never seen that many likes on.
Please, even if Ethan wasn't a raging freaking lunatic, I still would never wear freaking Dave. So butt ass ugly. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway.
Here's another dipshit I need to deal with. Why can't y'all take a day off? So brave to dogpile a Jewish creator who was at the CPS and skull sent to his house. Dipshit I need.
Who had the CPS call his skulls to his house in retaliation for thinking Israel civilians shouldn't be slaughtered 2 days after a terrorist executed. Okay. Wait, why didn't they just show the actual thing?
Lunatic, I still.
Why can't y'all?
Just curious. Hold on a second. I'm just curious about what the whole thing is that they.
You know who hit me up today on Instagram? Teddy Fresh. They said, hey, we'd love to send you some stuff. How about?
Was this right when they had the humans? When Ethan has human skull sent to him?
Hey, how about? Do I need like media training now that I'm like have more people in here? How about? Oh, brother, this guy stinks. You're out of your freaking mind. The clip of you talking about Teddy Fresh is going viral on Reddit. H3 fans are gonna come after you. Oh, fuck! The millennial who only wear color block pastel, they're gonna come for me? Fuck!
Hey, we do be liking color block pastel.
Please, even if Ethan wasn't a raging frigging lunatic, I still would never wear fucking Dave. Just so butt ass ugly.
Y'all take a day off. So brave to dogpile a Jewish creator who was at the CPS and skull sent to his house in retaliation.
Snarker, stop it, dude. He said I was trying.
Wait, why did they cut out the human skulls part? So oh, look. So it says so brave to dogpile a Jewish creator who has had the CPS and skull sent to his house in retaliation for thinking Israeli civilians shouldn't be slaughtered. Let's see what they like cut into this video.
So brave to dogpile a Jewish creator who was at the CPS and skull sent to his house in retaliation.
Snarker, stop it.
Oh, maybe you do hear the skulls
Y'all
part.
take a day off. So brave to dogpile a Jewish creator who was at the CPS and skull sent to his house.
Okay, they do say the skulls part. Okay. Why is that funny though? I don't understand why that's so funny.
Snarker, stop it, dude. He said I was trying to kill him the other day. He's awesome, man. He's so awesome. Stop.
Oh, you're.
I really don't understand why these people. I think that's one of the good things about this whole controversy is that people like Noah Samson and Hassan are never going to have kids. Like they are too selfish and too fucking stupid to ever like really have any children and to raise them productively. And that's clear because they don't have any, I guess, positive sentiment towards children. Like it makes no sense to them that CPS being called on someone's kids and skulls to their house are like really fucked up. I don't know. Again, it's a good thing they're not going to have any kids unless they're like bastard children from like fucking a girl and then not wanting to take responsibility, because that does sound like something they would do.
You're dogpiling on me, so brave. You sent the skulls. You are Hamas.
She totally sent the skulls.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's like he did so much content around like skulls being sent to his house and like being called to his house or something. And
No, he didn't. He talked about it one time and never talked about it again. Actually, like he legitimately like never talked about the skulls getting sent to his house. I don't know what you're talking about. I've consistently said it's actually interesting that Ethan barely talks about the skulls being sent to his house. And I'm assuming that it's to not draw more attention to that specific event. He talked about a lot about the CPS, but he never talks about the skulls being sent to his house. It's very rare that he does that.
I think it's like ridiculous, obviously, to do those things. It's fucked up, right? And I said that from the start.
I think it's obvious it's fucked up, but I'm going to make fun of him and make it seem like it's not a big deal every single time it comes up. And then I'm going to be like, yeah, it's kind of bad though. Yeah.
But he tried to literally bring that to every conversation where it was like, oh, you don't like Teddy Fresh? You sent skulls to my house. How dare you say you don't like my wife's adult baby clothes at a time in this troublesome time?
That's murder, bro.
In this troublesome time where I've had, as a Jewish man, skulls sent to my house.
It's not even that he has it. It's like she helped because she said this thing. She's a part of the snark, the giant scary thing that's all around me that did skull stuff and did CPS. It's like, I don't know. It's like a guy that's backed in.
Well, she's obviously like a coward that has no real opinion on what's going on. She just knows that Ethan bad So she's going to say Ethan bad. If Ethan was just in the liked, then she would have said the opposite. It doesn't really matter what it is. There's no actual like take there from her. So
to a corner, alone in a room.
It was
TikTok hates that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like this whole lunatic thing too, I think is really sits on Ethan because people are like will constantly say that as like a justifier to harass him. It's like you're just crazy, but he's like getting fucking harassed. So
it's not. Twitter obviously is already a shitty ass space to try to figure out whether someone is good or not. But he's got the only place he can fucking hide in is his Instagram stories at this point because no one can like respond to it.
Yeah, and he's like said that publicly, right? Like I like posting these because no one can.
Yeah,
say anything
no
back.
one can just like quote retweet him. So he just like can say from his hug box whatever the fuck he wants. His own
can people just take pictures of it and put it on their thing?
Which is like heavily moderated to eradicate all criticism even from fans, and then I guess like that's it. He just has his little community.
It's just so funny. Hassan used to say he loved Teddy Fresh, and then that all changed after they broke up. Now it's adult baby clothes. It's so silly. I swear this motherfucker would take this guy would take money from fucking Israel just to promote anything. I really genuinely believe that. I mean, he's sitting here fucking drinking and eating shit off the BDS list. On publicly on stream, despite the fact that he pretends to care about Gaza. Then again, he didn't, advocate for Kamala getting voted in. So, I don't know, man. It's just funny that he talks about that. This guy's the biggest fucking shill out there, no?
That's increasingly getting smaller and smaller, and other producers in the space are leaving. No one wants to collaborate with him, and he just can't understand why, and he just keeps fucking pushing over and over and over again.
When you get on NPR, it's because you paid, but he's not on NPR. He's paying like random Substack writers to write AI articles about how, it's anti-Semitic to not buy his clothes. Yeah. What I was gonna say is this shit is like, this
what the fuck are they talking about? What article? Show that to us. What?
Contributes to anti-Semitism. If you're weaponizing it every time something...
I mean, unironically, Ethan could probably like recover... like, he's not even doing poorly. Let's just be clear. So there's like nothing to like necessarily recover. But optically, he could probably get his image into a better spot. Not that it's like it's better than it was a while ago, but he just has to. I think the first step is to probably stop the the Instagram shit posting. Honestly, like right now, there's a lot of people who want to associate with Hassan, like politically, like NPR and stuff, because. Which was like a shit ass fucking interview, but it's because it's like it's financially productive. But more than that, it's like they think that Hassan is like the answer to like I guess whatever issue is going on where they can't really reach young men, and like Hassan will get young men to gravitate towards him. It's like okay, I don't know if at the 34-year-old like. I don't know, man. I don't think that I think I don't know how many young men are gravitating to Hassan, but you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. It's like, that's the person we can grab onto. He looks very masculine. That's going to be the guy. It's very superficial, and he's popular. He's popular, and he looks really masculine, and he confidently lies. And so they fall for the lies, right? That's pretty much it. I think that's going to die down at some point, and people are going to start looking really stupid after they continuously, operate in this capacity.
Something bad happens, then you're cheapening it. Like you're making it something that doesn't actually have real world effects, right?
This is the video. I saw this.
Offering to his Jewish audience. And if there are any Jewish audience left in this crowd, which I'm sure there are maybe a few of the ones who are proud tokens to be spent by a person who fucking wants you to die.
You hear that, chat? All Jewish folks in the chat, he wants you to die. And they're still here.
Yeah,
you guys, you need mental health. They're suicidal.
Hate yourselves.
They're suicidal. Please get some mental health.
And not in the regular depressed kind of way, but in a special, different kind of way. You hate yourself. Oh, God, Dan. Oh, this is the saddest. This makes me more sad than Ethan's decline, honestly. This man has a proud history of like being direct descendants of Bolsheviks. He is part of the reason why I did Leftover, And now he just is.
I doubt any of that's true. The reason that Hassan wanted to do Leftovers is to get his name out there. And to capture a new audience. I mean, and also because like he was on the down before he'd started associating with Ethan. He was having a tough time. The only thing that really put him back on the map is like his association with Ethan and like the Israel-Palestine. But he was like turning down, like his streams were becoming less and less popular up until that point.
He's the most well-paid babysitter, I guess, and has slowly but surely increasingly become a bigger and bigger dick rider. When initially his role was to just like keep Ethan in check, and now he's just
made the claim that I said that I was trying to kill him. That I said that I said you should get a gun and go kill a propagandist. It was something to that effect. I don't think at the time it was crazy, like crazy thing. And Dan.
Well, if you keep calling Ethan a propagandist and you say get a gun and kill a propagandist, it's That sounds like you're saying to kill Ethan, no?
And immediately was like, he didn't say that. Nope, that's not what he said. And he was like, I'm pretty sure he did say it. He was like, nope, that's not what he said. We can pull it up. And then he's like, no, I'm pretty sure he did say that. And then we watched it. It was like, oh, he didn't say that at all. What are you saying? But then Ethan's like, well, it was pretty much the same thing. And Dan's like, yeah. And then they move on. And it's like, oh, he's willing to challenge him, but it doesn't, like, it's the king on the throne. Like, there's nothing you can do at that point.
No, he's not even like challenging
him to do. Shoot him with a gun? Like, I don't understand. You get it?
He's recovering, so he doesn't
it's
get
legal.
himself.
It's a legal threat. Like he lost that lawsuit, right? Like he knows what. I mean, he doesn't know what defamation is apparently, but because he's still doing it. But like he has people around him.
For him, it's literally he actively defames me and Sam.
Hey, listen, man. Here's all that. Here's the Papaga content strategy. Just chilling, getting more Teddy Fresh for free, baby. Getting more. I don't have it around me for some reason. I decided to go hatless, but I've been wearing the Teddy Fresh hat a lot. It's actually a pretty decent hat. It's also simple. I like it's a simple shit, but that's all you got to do, baby. Let him come to me. Let him come all over me, dude.
Cedar with regular frequency in like horrible ways, right? But the reason why he does that is because he knows that if we sue him for defamation, that's a long and drawn out, convoluted legal process that he can make content off of. So,
okay. So he's intentionally engaging in defamation, hoping you'll sue him to keep the content going. A lot of conspiracy theories coming out of Hassan's community. That's crazy.
Because he's just so fucking busted in the brain that even if he ends up losing that long and drawn out legal process, which he would, right? It's still, he's made this calculation, I think, in his mind that like, it doesn't matter, even if he loses hundreds of thousands of dollars in the process, it's still worth it because in that year-long period, he can constantly make content off of it. Just like with the what was his name? Brian Kavanaugh, the billionaire guy?
Brian Kavanaugh, yeah, the guy.
Wasn't that over him? I don't even know what that was over. I'm thinking of something, I was thinking of like he played like a 6-second clip of something, didn't he? I don't even know what that is about. I don't care.
Who sued him for defamation?
Yeah, like successfully and won.
It was so funny. He had to read an apology.
But in the process of like creating, like he always needs villains. He doesn't have any other content. He just like needs to have major villains that he's positioned against. That he like.
Well, isn't that how your content is too? Like Donald Trump and Ethan Klein, and then Yahoo. I'm not saying they're not villainous. Donald Trump, and Yahoo, Ethan Klein, all villains. But like, isn't that what everything is? He does drama content. You do political. Well, you do political content. You do political drama content. He does drama content. I don't understand what you're talking about. You're criticizing him for something that you do.
Like psychotically stalks. And for the most part, those villains have been like universally acknowledged bad people, whether it be like a billionaire guy or whether it be Keemstar, you know, people like this, or like Myron Gaines. Like, so it's never been like this before, where he has a hard time coming to terms with the reality that like all of these other liberal outlets are not like taking.
Hey, listen, if people like someone, they are not a bad guy. Just to be clear.
Propaganda seriously, right?
It's like debate lore stuff. Like when you foster a community of people that just are there to see you get mad at people and own people and have enemies and fight with people, your community is going to be full of fucked up weirdos that are going.
That is level of truth. I just feel like you're also generating the same community.
Be down to just be like, yeah, I mean, I'll support a genocide as long as the guy
who. When my whole audience is from Twitter, like what the fuck?
Who I don't like is the one we're attacking for it. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense why that happens. Your aversion to like debates and that sort of stuff, even if you do like the drama slop occasionally, probably makes your community a little less, you know.
Oh, for sure.
Freakish like that.
And we also
you know what debate communities love, like debate performance communities love, they love it when people wave fake guns around on their stream. That's what they love a lot, dude. They're all over that shit, boy. Holy fuck, you guys have the same communities, dude. You're all freaks.
Really stamp it out. Like this is one of the few instances where I'm allowing it.
Same, maybe? I don't know.
I'm letting it rip because you're here.
No.
But under normal circumstances.
Is this a Beyblade reference?
I don't. While discussing the Netanyahu interview, Ethan Drawing draws a line and equivalence between the Prime Minister of Israel and a Yemeni teen TikTok influencer.
No way.
No, they think.
In which I would interview Netanyahu. And I think Netanyahu's like the one.
He said he would interview Netanyahu.
I from what I saw, he said no.
No, I said I wouldn't interview. I said I wouldn't interview Nick Fuentes, and I wouldn't platform Nick Fuentes. Benjamin Netanyahu, I would interview. I would just be incredibly fucking critical, obviously.
No, he said he would.
Unbelievable.
Just critical? You wouldn't try to do something if he's literally the genocide guy? What the fuck?
Although I'm sure he said I'm equipped to interview Netanyahu. Meanwhile, again, he goes, I heard you guys have this video. He goes, you guys asked him about Burger King and McDonald's, like, which is crazy. And then you crash cut to Hassan being like, yo, there's KFC in Yemen, bro.
Dude. He's kind of right though. Your interview skills suck, Dick, too. You could have done so much more to humanize that young goofy kid. But instead, you just focus on being a fucking idiot cuck. So yeah, kind of valid. But also, yeah.
This only works if you legitimately think that even a prominent figurehead within the Ansar Allah movement is equivalent to Benjamin Netanyahu. They are not.
Well, no, it doesn't. It is only if you are very petty. That's what it is. But you know, again, I mean, so are you, Hassan. So.
Let alone a fucking random Yemeni TikTok influencer. They're not. One is on the right.
Random Yemeni TikTok influencer who claims to be a pirate that you thought was one. And that's why you had him on. Then you realize that he wasn't one. and then you got disappointed. And then you made up some weird story about how you were detained at the airport because they were targeting you when it was because you forgot you tried to go through like the fast track line and you didn't apply for it correctly. And then you said that they told you that he couldn't have been a terrorist because he doesn't have like a Sunni last name, and all Houthis have a Sunni last name. But that sounds like something you should have known beforehand because you pretend to be super qualified to talk about these world issues. So it's just a little confusing.
Side of this genocide, anti-genocide. The other one is the one responsible for doing the genocide. That watch this shit and watch the slop tubers without realizing they're unironically tapping into this fucking distorted worldview. That's the problem. That's what's so frustrating about this issue is that there are so many people who just like don't even exercise a little bit of critical thinking on this issue.
Whoa, dude, I'm not fat. I'm just big boned.
Issue and a regional actor trying to take action against Israel doing a genocide. The Houthis are right. They are correct. They're correct to do a naval blockade.
They're the only ones following international law. The obligations of states under the Genocide Convention to intervene against genocide.
Norm Finkelstein literally said the Houthis deserve a Nobel Peace Prize, that they're heroes of morality. Okay? Their domestic issues are utterly irrelevant in this conversation. Okay? We are talking about a fucking genocide. And I've proven that this does not matter. This calculation does not matter to you either.
He's proven it, guys. He's proven it.
Because you don't make this calculation when you're talking about the Allied forces during World War II. You don't make that assessment when you're thinking about World War II. When you're thinking about the Holocaust, you don't go, was the Easy Company like, what was the Easy Company soldiers and their opinion on black people, their opinion on women, their opinion on gay people? It's fucking ridiculous.
What a fucking hack loser bitch that guy is.
I
love that they invited Hasan Piker on to nestle in so comfortably with Myron, Nick Fuentes, and Sneeko.
Wait. Now he's saying I'm like nestling in with Myron, Sneeko, and Nick Fuentes, people who fucking despise me, by the way, and I despise them.
And you've talked about that at length.
And I have talked about them more than he has.
Well, hasn't Ethan talked about how much he doesn't like Netanyahu?
That's the craziest part.
Exactly.
Because I do care about anti-Semitism. He doesn't. He just wants to.
I care about it a lot too, guys. Let's get those numbers up. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Please don't hurt me.
Weaponize it against not even like critics of Israel necessarily, but it usually is critics of Israel, obviously. But it's more so just people who fucking make him feel bad.
It's Jews in your chat. Like that's what he said. Jews in your chat.
Guys, there's Jews in your chat. By the way, every time I make a racist meme on Twitter about black people, there's a lot of black people in the chat saying this is super funny. What?
He called them tokens.
That's anti-Semitic.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Myron, Nick Fuentes, and Sneeko.
There do be some Jews in the chat.
He has the same valuable opinion as all of them on the topic of Israel. He's a valuable voice. And the panel of great anti-Semitic fucking lunatics. By the way,
is no one going to push back?
Did you just say that they're great? That's fucked up.
Are there what happened? Did their mics get muted? I know none of those motherfuckers in the room feel that way.
You saw like even he on his own got to the point of talking about you, and that riled.
What if they do think that way? What if that?
Him up to the point where like he's yelling, and they didn't even say anything. So I'm assuming challenging him on that point on anything to do with you would result in. I'm pretty sure it has. He kind of freaks out.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, well that was fucking. We did a thing. We watched that. Bye.